It is your PrisonPlanet.tv memberships that fund so much of what we do here on this operation. And then we're more than happy for the TV show after it's aired live, then be leaked out onto the web to tens of millions of people. That's our goal. Just when you think things can't get any crazier, they do. I actually had two of my writers write about the same thing today, like two ships, I guess, quietly passing each other in the night. So there's two articles on this up at Infowars.com. MSNBC guessed more white kids have to die. And then there's Paul Watson's article. That was Kurt Nemo's headline. MSNBC pundit, more white kids need to die for Americans to understand racism. You know, I just asked Kurt to add crime statistics from the Justice Department on exactly who's killing who, just a fact, because it's been advertised and pushed by the socialist authoritarian media and by the New Black Panther Party and a lot of other groups like that, that don't mug people and rob people in your neighborhood. Go find a predominantly white neighborhood and go after them. And then Michael Moore says if white people buy guns, it's because they're scared of black people. I don't think that's the case on average. But this is really a war on self-defense. And Michael Moore and his social engineers, they want all of us to live like folks do in the most dangerous areas of Chicago, the most dangerous areas of New York and D.C., where they have taken the firearms from the law-abiding citizens. And that's what this whole psyop is about. Last night, my wife had gone to the grocery store late, so she pulls up, gets out of the car at about 9 at night, comes in the house, and she said, I was just listening to Greta Van Susteren on Fox via XM, and she said, you've got to hear this. So this morning she went and found the clip. I forgot to give it to the guys, but I will, where she has one of the attorneys for the Martin family on, and the woman says, I am a social engineer, not just a lawyer. And we're here fighting racism, and that's why the Justice Department needs to go after Zimmerman. And it just hit me with what a distraction this whole thing is from all the real tyranny going on in this world. And how that's all the establishment has going for them is to get us to fight with each other. It's so elementary, it's so obvious, but the media puts something out like this, puts a story out, beats the drum for a year and a half, and people almost feel like they're celebrities weighing in on it. People feel like they are part of the establishment weighing in on things. They feel like it's cool to be part of it, and you've got the white folks on the internet, which has the anonymity, or people claiming they're white folks. In some cases, it's probably people in government saying horrible things about, quote, minorities, and then you've got people claiming to be black. Some of them I'm sure are, some of them aren't. I'm sure it's the same thing as with the provocateurs on the other side, stirring up things, and you sit here and you look at it, and the drum just beats and beats and beats and beats and beats and beats. So what I'm going to do is get into the latest on the whole saga where you have racial attacks. I mean, I saw a video where you've got another TV reporter interviewing a black guy, but it's to a white camera guy and a white reporter. And it looks like when they run away, it's a couple black, looks like teenagers, come up and sucker punch in the back of the head the cameraman and the reporter, and then are running off. And you can hear the big black guy they're interviewing turn towards the teenagers and says, what you gonna do, little man? So they run off from him. And there's a bunch of these videos. I mean, imagine, there's a white guy. Let me go punch him. He probably, I mean, that's pure racism. And then I saw on InfoWars people defending it going, hey, go ahead and shoot the reporters. You know, they might be dangerous like George Zimmerman did. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are broadcasting worldwide on this Wednesday, the 17th day of July, 2013 worldwide broadcast. Okay, coming up, I want to get into an article from Yahoo News today. Is carrying it. It's actually the Associated Press. Driving somewhere, there's a government record of that. Now, going back 18 years when I first got on air, I confirmed that they were installing license plate reading cameras in Indiana and Texas. I saw it in a technology publication that actually an engineer brought me. This is back in 1995, 1996. And I said, those cameras they've put up on I-35, because it listed them, are recording your license plate and everywhere you go. And people would call in and say, we're not 1984. We're not beyond Soviet Russia. You're a liar. And I would tell people by 1998, your digital cable box is listening to you with a microphone. I even busted one open on Access Television and got death threats over it by people claiming they were engineers. You know, if you keep talking about this, you're dead, boy. Stuff like that. Because back then, hey, there's no microphone listening to me in my cable box. I'm in America. And this is big money for the system. They got hopping. And I mean hopping mad. But here it is in the Associated Press today. So see, what's ancient news for my audience is now new news to the public. Because now it's all about throwing it in your face, because now they're going to use the grid openly. Government Bureau creating a Google Earth on every financial transaction, Senator says, CNS News. Yeah, the Pentagon a few years ago actually came out and said, we have a giant computer map with DARPA of every transaction you make, every phone call you make, every place you go, who you talk to, what you do. So, of course, I mean, you know, why are they saying arrest Snowden? Because he came out and said that it's illegal and it's wrong and that they're targeting non-terrorists, the general public. His crime is his credibility as a network administrator over very high-level stuff. Because even if you're not, you know, somebody that's been working there for years, when you've got the know-how they need, you're over the infrastructure. You're the mole, the ghost in the system. And so this is about intimidating their own minions. That's what this whole situation is about. So we're going to be getting into that. Old news for our audience, new news for the general public. Financial Times of London. We have good cause to abhor the surveillance state. And then they go into talking about how every case that's been done in history, it results in absolute tyranny and nightmare despotism. Oh yeah, most of the people that are filthy rich right now and help bring this system in are going to be robbed by the tyranny they set up. Only madmen get rid of the checks and the balances. Continuing, do you know where you'll be in 285 days from now at 2 p.m.? Microsoft and Google do. This is out of fastcompany.com. Again, I told you about this. 1999 is when I learned about it. And then they were bragging about it in MIT publications by 2005. And I've told you that by 2006, they had 93% accuracy on where you're going to eat dinner tomorrow night, even before you knew, and even higher accuracy with mass movements. Now it's even worse. So there's that article. Privacy groups led by Electronic Frontier Foundation sue to stop NSA and FBI electronic surveillance, pointing out it's illegal. Well, it's secret arrest and torture is illegal. Saying the Tea Party is terrorist is illegal. Having the IRS tell churches what they can pray is illegal. And telling pro-lifers they can't demonstrate against abortions. This has been recorded. This has been in the news. You know, that's illegal. But you know, tell that to Adolf Hitler. Tell that to Julius Caesar. Tell that to Pol Pot. Tell that to Mao Zedong. Tell that to Kim Jong-un and Kim Jong-il and his daddy before him. They got the guns, you don't, you're a slave. That's why the globalists want our guns. That's why bipartisan they want our guns. That's why they're connecting gun ownership on CNN and MSNBC and Fox Sports to racism so that they can culturally get the minorities that are really the majority, and they're going to be a super majority within about a decade to think, I want to ban the guns. It's my civil right to have my guns taken. It's my civil right to kill my baby. It's my civil right to have free fluoride put in my water. It's my civil right. This is loving your servitude. This is how they bind it to that. If you don't let unlimited foreigners come in and be given government welfare as a stipend to help supplant jobs and drive down wages, you're a racist. If you don't like the health care bill written by insurance companies to not give pre-existing care, make poor people buy the care, have giant taxes on everybody's payroll, rip everybody off, but the mega rich that are exempt and Congress who's exempt, you're a racist. Yeah, everybody's been looking at their paycheck with that Obamacare money getting peeled off the top. Yeah. He's going to give you something free because he's a black man and he loves you. That's why all the big foreign banks funded him 2-to-1 against the ringer he was running against, Mittens Romney. That whole thing, ladies and gentlemen, was one big fix. People said, well, why weren't you for John McCain then? Why did you not go out against Obama 5 years ago? Because I knew they were all just globalists and they were going to put in who they wanted. He probably did get elected popularly. That's how this country works. That's why we're suckers. It's why we're becoming poor. It's why we're dying young. It's why the cancer rates are up and the IQs are dropping physically. Because we stopped being wily. We stopped not trusting the government. We stopped the common sense, folks. If you went back 100 years ago to the north, south, the east, the west, black, white, Asian, it didn't matter, and you said, let's trust the government, let's give them power, they're going to take care of us, people would laugh at you. Oh, the old-timers, they don't like to keep their money in a bank. Why? They don't trust it. And now you see them stealing people's bank accounts, bank fees, taking money out of people's accounts all over the world, looting the pension funds all over the world, and now it's accelerating here. And once they get their cashless society in place, then they can charge you $5 or whatever they want to use your own digital money. And that's the plan. And then they can track everywhere you go. And they can figure out what you've absolutely got to have. And they can find where you're getting money off the radar. Most people couldn't survive nowadays if they actually paid all the taxes. Most people couldn't survive the day if they weren't doing some underground work. And that's all going to be gotten rid of so they can have the post-industrial world and shut things down and make you live in a 200-square-foot coffin apartment. That's the plan, Jack, to make you poor so that you can be the ignorant food of the New World Order. When you look at what they've done to poor communities across the world, the globalists, how they make them dependent, how they break them down, how they break down the families. That is the group that's already been dominated and taken control of and enslaved, that is then used as the political football fodder to then go out and be the political minions and the political foot soldiers of the collectivist hive Borg that seized control of the system. So I'm going to be getting into a little bit more on the NSA, and we're going to get into the U.S. Army on record being used to spy on anti-GMO activists. Now, why would the Army be involved in spying on health groups, anti-war groups, Tea Party groups? I mean, this has come out that the Army leaked it when they were told to go to Ron Paul rallies in Houston and Dallas, one of which I was speaking at. And in the training sheet and in the briefing, it said, don't let them know you're U.S. Army. They may kill you. Remember that? At an In the Fed rally 4 years ago? It's in my film, Obama Deception. Just 4.5 years ago. We show our rally up there. You can just pull up Army at Ron Paul rallies. And imagine the Army sitting there in a meeting with straight face going, don't let them know you're U.S. Army in plain clothes. They may attack you or try to kill you. Really, I think probably half the people of those rallies are probably active duty military. And that's why the military leaked that out of Camp Mabry, Austin, Texas, was because they're like, wow, this is crazy. Yes, this is authoritarianism. All of it. All of it you see is authoritarianism pointed at the American people. And the only way the globalists can win is playing us off against each other. So when I come back, I'm first going to get into the latest, now 4+ days into the verdict. And I've got stacks of news articles here where Hollywood hit by roaming band of robbers, police say. No connection to the Zimmerman, Trayvon Martin verdict. That's what the LA Times says. That'd be like if the sun came up and warmed the plants and made the plants grow, and they said that has no effect on the plant. I guess the UN already actually voted and said that the sun doesn't affect climate. So I guess it's true. The sun doesn't warm my skin, doesn't give me a sunburn, doesn't make the plants grow, doesn't make the water turn into vapor and then go up and form clouds because the UN said so. So I try to make satirical jokes, and then it's not satire. It's already happening. So all over the place, there are groups of black teens mainly with meth head type drooling anarchist, so-called anarchist in tow with them, beating people up, going into Walmarts, robbing people. This is a phenomenon all over the country, and the police always stand down because this is, again, a sacrament of the trendiness, preparing the race war. You know, there's another Bob Marley song that we play a clip of where he talks about they want us divided. They want us fighting with each other. They want us killing one another. And that's why when Malcolm X ceased to be a racist, you know, saying that all whites were inherently bad people, because he traveled to Eastern Europe, he traveled to the Middle East, saw everybody living in peace together. Then he came back and preached against it and got assassinated. Same reason they killed Martin Luther King. The last thing the globalists want is for you to go off what somebody actually stands for and does. And think about it. The so-called liberal media and Al Sharpton and all these other racists, do you think them saying outrageous stuff on television is going to create more unity or less unity? Oh, it's going to unify the rabble under them. It's going to unify the black racist and the thug culture that is taking over the communities of this country, period. The thug life under that as a racial system. Just like the government funds Mecha and La Raza, and the Fortune 500 funds it, which are Hispanic Ku Klux Klan groups. Go read their writings. It's incredible. And just like the government gives attention and has been caught giving support to the white supremacist rabble and then playing us off against each other, that is exactly what's going on. By the way, Jimmy Carter has come out, and this is in Politico. There's a video saying George Zimmerman jury was right. Well, I guess that's because he is a cracker butt. No, it's because he actually knows the law. Whether you love or hate Jimmy Carter, he always tries to be fair. And he's always been a big peacemaker with the only real accords with Israel and Egypt ever that we've seen. And no one can deny he's a real Christian and means well. And he followed it, and he said they made the right decision. I think the jury made the right decision based on the evidence presented, because the prosecution inadvertently, I don't think inadvertently, they wanted this to go to trial and then be a mistrial. We said that day one. Inadvertently set the standards so high that the jury had to be convinced that it was deliberate act by Zimmerman, that he was not at all defending himself. There you go. Yeah, they probably could have gotten an involuntary manslaughter or manslaughter, because this case is close, folks. I don't think it's a cut and dry thing, and that's why it was chosen. I don't think it's smart to follow somebody with a gun if they're walking between houses and looking back and forth because they're wearing a hoodie and fits some type of archetype in your mind. And I mean, I do think that fed into the fact that there'd been some robberies, the suspects were black males, and then it fed into it. But there is an injustice of a dead person here, because we don't know Trayvon Martin was robbing. We don't know that. But we don't know that Zimmerman killed him on purpose. It's called reasonable doubt. And what you've got is a power structure that wants to divide and conquer people. Now, this video is up on Infowars.com. There's two different articles. Kurt wrote his last night, but had it on pause until this morning so he could publish it at 5 a.m. And Paul Joseph Watson also did an article on it. Professor who said black people can't be racist spews racism. And we're going to play a clip. MSNBC pundit and professor Michael Eric Dyson, who previously argued that it's impossible for black people to be racist. All that is tribalism. I mean, they got black tribes killing black tribes in Africa over any excuse. You know, well, you worship a different God, or you live in a different area. Or, I mean, it's tribalism. But he says it's impossible, illustrating why so many viewers are abandoning the beleaguered network that has said Americans would not understand racism until white kids were being killed in the same numbers as blacks. So I've seen these Justice Department numbers before. I'm going to have the guys dig it up and add it to Kurt and Watson's article, where on average, last time I saw the numbers, a white is 10 times more likely to be assaulted or killed by a black person. 10 times. And on average, it's above 10, but in some areas, 20 times. And I show these statistics Sunday from the Justice Department, 20 times more likely to be killed by a black person if you're a black person than by a white person. There are some areas of the country where Hispanics are killing blacks in a gang-related racist thing, and that's in L.A., where it's the only place the numbers are flipped. And the Hispanics are mainly from Mexico. It's Mexican gangs. They're coming in and pushing the blacks out. So I think whites do understand, sir, that the media has said whites are racist and bad, kill them, rob them, murder them, and then people actually don't feel like they're racist doing it. It becomes a good thing to do. That's like kill a commie for mommy, kill a cracker for daddy. You know, that's what's going on here. All right, coming up, ladies and gentlemen, after I finish up with the latest on the social engineering with the Trayvon Martin case, and I've got a bunch of clips I'm going to get to. FBI bars release of autopsy info for Boston bombing suspect's acquaintance. This is the guy they shot in the top of the head. He told family, the FBI is coming to kill me. He was obviously involved in the multinational counterterrorism operations with Tamerlan Zarnev, who it turned out was funded by the CIA. But they know the public doesn't know their head from a hole in the ground. We know there was a drill. We know there was patsies that were set up. The younger brother has now pled not guilty. And Rolling Stone has the headline, "The bomber just says he did it." Well, I hope they don't blow something up, cut my throat out, blame it on me, I plead not guilty, and then they just say that I'm guilty. See, there's an assault on juries. There's an assault on due process. I'm going to be getting to that. I'm going to be getting to Panama intercepts North Korean ship with suspected arms. I've got something I want to break down there. I want to break down real tragedies like 22 children die in India after eating school meal. I want to get into the latest on the NSA. I want to get into the latest just on a host of issues that are up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. But first, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard me talk a lot about the incredible longevity products, and we have them discounted at the lowest price you're going to find anywhere, and free shipping when you sign up with the auto ship system at InfoWarsHealth.com. I go out and I find the very best products that have the very best quality ingredients. I promote and fund our operation with the very best Pro One, Pro Pure water filters. We carry the best books, the best films. Whatever I think is just excellent, whatever I do research on, the best quality non-GMO, heirloom, non-hybrid seeds at InfoWarsStore.com. And that's then how we fund the overall message of liberty. And that's why we're under such incredible attack, is because the system has figured out we're waking people up. There's a National Review story out today saying that I am, quote, certifiably insane and incredibly dangerous. But they spin it and say America's free, unlike what Alex Jones says, because he's still on the air. Yeah, it's taken me 18 years, and there's still enough freedom left that I can be on the air. I never said America was under total tyranny. They're trying to put us under total tyranny. Anybody can see that. So I'll mention that later if I have time, maybe in the next hour when we have a guest in studio. But the total ORAC score of 8,000 per serving, the new Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0, ladies and gentlemen. Whole foods, trace minerals, antioxidants, probiotics, prebiotics, amino acids, essential cofactors, and more. An incredible superfood. The Beyond Tangy Tangerine Citrus Peach Fusion, the ultimate multivitamin mineral complex, discounted at InfoWarsStore.com. And, of course, they have the old-fashioned Beyond Tangy Tangerine as well, but it's non-GMO, organic. And now they have the Longevity Beyond Osteo FX, now in powder form. If you don't like drinking the incredible serum for your joints that so many NFL football players like Drew Pearson rave about and endorse. InfoWarsHealth.com. And there's also a toll-free number there at InfoWarsHealth.com if you want to call and have any of your questions answered, or if you need any help getting signed up there online for the auto ship. There is, again, also a toll-free number at InfoWarsHealth.com, 888-789-9277, 888-789-9277. And you can also call our office. That's the InfoWars team there. You can call our office and order any of the books, the films, the documentaries, the T-shirts, the Pro One water filters, Pro Pure discount code water. Get 10% off. 888-253-3139, 888-253-3139, and you're helping us continue our operation, but also expand in the face of the globalist. Because I'm not going to risk my life and not go 110%. So I want to commend and salute all of you that have made this broadcast possible, and the magazine and the films and everything we do that has the establishment right wing and the establishment left wing coming after us. Today is the official release date of State of Mind, the documentary into globalist conditioning and mind control. Great way to up your knowledge, but also wake up friends and family. I'm in the film along with a lot of other experts. And we will premiere the film for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers and InfoWars Nightly News viewers tonight. So if you're not a subscriber at PrisonPlanet.tv for $5.95 a month, now is the time to do it. Now is the time. One membership in Operation Awakening the Sleeping Giant is 11 memberships. So have an original username and passcode that you can share. 11 people can tune in tonight, 7 o'clock Central, to see the premiere of State of Mind. And yes, we will go on air on time tonight, 7 o'clock Central, and it's going to be about a 4-hour show. We're going to have the nightly news for 30 minutes, then we're going to have the 2+ hour film, and then the filmmakers during and after, at an intermission and after, in studio with us tonight. Tonight's the night, the 17th of July, 2013. Another powerful salvo of awakening. The people perish for lack of knowledge. Well, this is a lifeboat for a drowning world. Tonight, 7 o'clock Central, PrisonPlanet.tv. If you're not a member, become one. If you have a membership, call your friends and family. Tell them, hey, here's the username passcode, 7 o'clock Central tonight. Or then it'll be archived for everybody after it airs tonight at PrisonPlanet.tv. You can watch it in high def at your leisure. Okay, enough ranting. I hardly ever plug, usually once or twice a day, and when I do, it tends to go on for a while. So again, thank you for joining us. All right, resetting here. Jimmy Carter, you can say what you want about him. He was a real guy. He was a real guy. I don't agree with a lot of his bleeding heart stuff because it always makes people dependent and can be used. But he followed the trial. He said he's been upset by it. And he told WXIA-TV, there's a video of it up on Infowars.com. It's also on DrudgeReport.com. It's from Politico, where he says, I think they made the right decision because the prosecution inadvertently set the standard so high the jury had to be convinced that it was a deliberate act by Zimmerman, that he was not at all defending himself and so forth. And if you know the law, that's how O.J. got off. And was it, a thing of anti-white, that he killed his white ex-wife? Many believed. No, white people didn't go, he's a racist, because he's white. And no, it's a crime of passion. A crime of passion. But regardless, they couldn't totally prove it, even though it looked like he was guilty. You got to be sure, folks. There cannot be any reasonable doubt. Any reasonable doubt That's our system. Hey, in North Korea, they don't have a trial, folks. You just disappear. And in other places, they have kangaroo courts where politically they decide what they want to do. And that's what this is all about, is social engineering. I've been saying it for a year and a half since this started. And one of Trayvon Martin's family's lawyers got up there and said, on Greta Van Sester, we're going to play a clip coming up, said that exact thing. And you can say what you want. I'm sure black people have gone through a lot of racism and discrimination and just uncomfortableness. I've said this many times. I don't like being invited to fancy, country clubs like the most elite, because I don't feel like state senators or U.S. senators or, famous people, because I get invited to stuff like this, come to our spa, and then I'm in the bathroom after I took a shower, after playing tennis or whatever, and who are you? Are you Alex Jones? I'm Judge such and such. What are you doing here? Who invited you here? Well, the such and such has invited me. We're just, here to play tennis and then eat dinner. Well, very nice to see you. It's so much what you call racism is just uncomfortableness. And the media is there trying to create that. Trying to make people where they don't feel like they're comfortable. I mean, if you go to some of these elite restaurants / speakeasies in Austin, because that's the trendy thing, is to go to a bar that's not licensed and they serve dinner. And anytime I go out with celebrities in Austin, when they come visit me, they want to go to one of these things in East Austin. And so you go and you knock on the door and they look at you and they bring you in. There's gourmet food and all this stuff. But people come over and go, Alex Jones, who let you in here? What I'm saying is it's like that if you go to some trendy black bar. You're probably going to have some racist black guys come over, even if 90% of people in there like you and think you're cool. There are going to be some racist in there. Again, they're tribalist or they're elitist or want to be elitist. It's like a club. Who was it said I wouldn't be part of any club that would have me? And then they come over. I mean, you could go to a redneck event, and if they don't know you, they're going to come over and say, who are you? If they're trashy people that are just into their club. Who invited you to this bonfire? Even if you're just sitting there. You know how uncool people are. So you go to hear some jazz at some East Austin, talking 10 years ago before all the trendies went over there. And it's like, what are you crackers doing here? And you're like, nothing. Like, oh, that's all right. I'm not going to beat your butt or anything. And then the reason I won't go to places like that is I'll say, oh, you are? Well, go ahead and try it. See, because that's my problem. I can't back off to anybody, folks. So that's why I don't go to country clubs. It's why I don't go to pretty much black-only bars, because you're going to get told, get your cracker butt out of here. And you go to a country club, they're going to be like, who are you? Well, Alex Jones, why are you here? If you go to the most elite country club. They'll kick anybody out because that's how they feel elitist. I'm explaining to you how the world really works if you haven't experienced this, okay? So they want us all uncomfortable. They want us all in our own groups, and it's a gang mentality. Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson's not that bad compared to Al Sharpton. And Al Sharpton's not that bad compared to some of these Professor Michael Eric Dyson, who says blacks cannot be racist, we're perfect. And whites are inherently bad, and more white people need to die. And I'm like, excuse me? On average, it's 10-to-1 black-on-white crime in this country because it's advertised. Go out and knock a cracker over the head. I can play the clips of this stuff. And then so crackers go and get guns and start getting scared because there's a minority of blacks that are racist that go out and feed on white people. And then you've got Professor running around on MSNBC. I mean, my mom said she hadn't watched NBC in about a year. She turned it on. And my mom's what you'd call kind of a classical populist, liberal. She's changed over the years just seeing the extremism on the left. And she goes, I couldn't believe it. She said it was like the Twilight Zone. I know MSNBC is scientific cultural death, scientific cultural pollution. It is a weapon. It is an assault. And anytime I'm in L.A. or some liberal area and I'm in a minority-owned store, man, it's on, and the people are sitting there watching it, and it's just like, wow, this is not equality, folks. This is not coming together. This is going to create people segregating themselves. People segregate themselves. They segregate themselves, and it's everybody doing this, and this is by design because these political groups want these groups under them. So let's go to this clip that's up at Infowars.com. A professor who said black people can't be racist and then spews incredible racism. Here's the clip.
As for Eric Holder, look, the reality is you got to act now. The president, you won the second term. You're in office. You are ensconced. Do something courageous, bold, and helpful, not only to African-American people, but to America. Because lest we do this, white Americans and others will feel that this was a justifiable verdict. This is how things happen. Not until and unless the number of white kids died that approximate the numbers of black and other kids who die, will America see it's beyond logic, it's about rationality, it's about let's get something done. I think the Attorney General will look at this, and I think it's time for him to
there you go. Now, again, this is about making the whole world about race, too. I mean, it's a bunch of grandstanding. And the Attorney General came out and said, we're going to stand up against these guns. We're going to stand up. We're going to stand our ground. So now they're selling self-defense laws. By the way, statistics are out today. The Daily Caller has them. The Justice Department admits 2-to-1 in Florida, blacks use stand their ground. When somebody's got a weapon, you got to have a weapon, coming at somebody to attack them, and they shoot them. You see, I want to arm the people in Mexico to defend themselves against the organized criminal government and the cartels. I want to arm black people in Chicago, New York, and D.C. And let me tell you, because we know what's happened when this has been done in other areas, the crime rate will go straight down. Let me tell you, if they had a city program to train Chicagoans, you could have public events with thousands out there, sign a waiver, do the training, you would see a massive crime reduction if especially law-abiding citizens, hard-working black folks in Chicago. It's the black areas that have the crime rate just off the charts, 500-plus dead a year, thousands wounded. If you armed the good citizens, because they follow the law and then don't have a gun, you would literally see those criminals, a bloodbath at first, and then crime rates plunge to almost nothing. It is a fact. This is not my opinion. The true racism is that black cities don't let black people have guns because the Democratic Party is the party of the Ku Klux Klan. I mean, that's a fact, ladies and gentlemen. These are Judas goats, just like Margaret Sanger said. She goes, we're going to go hire black leaders, pose as liberals to control these people. That's how we're going to get control and break up their families and social engineer them. Now, let's go to the next clip here. Here is another clip. This is Eric Holder saying we must stand our ground at the NAACP convention. This is the guy that ships guns into Mexico to blame the Second Amendment that has killed thousands of people. This is a guy that is absolutely cold-blooded, playing the race card, manipulating his would-be slaves at the NAACP. Here it is.
We must stand our ground to ensure that our laws reduce violence and take a hard look at laws that contribute to more violence than they prevent. We must also seek a dialogue on attitudes about violence and disparities that are too commonly swept under the rug by honoring the finest traditions established by generations of NAACP leaders and other nonviolent advocates throughout history, and by paying tribute to the young man who lost his life here last year.
The patron saint of disarming America.
And so many others whose futures have been cut short.
Well, this guy arms to the teeth with 7,000 armored vehicles, billions of rounds of ammo,
in our streets,
drones, NSA spying, government shipping narcotics into black areas.
And we must do so by engaging with one another in a way that is at once peaceful, inclusive, respectful.
You see, if Ron Paul, that's enough. Just get him off there.
As we move.
Thank you. You know, Ron Paul gave speeches saying the CIA ships the drugs in. We need to abolish it and decriminalize so that it isn't a scourge in our inner cities. Can you imagine if they decriminalized drugs? It would take all the money out of it. It would really hurt the thug culture. Oh, but no. Holder's never going to come out and say the big banks ship drugs into the minority neighborhoods. No. He's not going to do anything real. He's going to sit up there and talk about he has to teach his son about racial profiling. Really, it turns out they search for more whites without warrants than blacks in New York. It's up to like 1 million a year. What about everybody getting their Bill of Rights? What about everybody getting their Constitution? Oh, well, don't worry. We don't profile anybody. Everybody's a slave. Everybody loses their rights. Now, I want to go to this clip of Jasmine Rand on Fox News last night. She said it a bunch of times that I'm a social engineer, and we're going to change the culture, and that's what this trial is about. And that's what they're turning Trayvon Martin into, as an anti-Second Amendment martyr, an anti-self-defense martyr, an anti-jury martyr. And you've got all these calls about get rid of juries, have the Justice Department decide. Yeah, just make them God. But this is more about, there's a lot of reasons the social engineers do this. And then they write textbooks on it. And that's why this lawyer spouts off about it, because they're all in the club. You know, they're showing how smart they are, that I'm an engineer too. No, you're being engineered as well. Those that think they're in control, think they know how to manipulate people. If you don't give people wide spectrum truth, you dumb them down, and then you build a world of idiots. And nobody wants to live in that, because a world of idiots will be led by a world of tyrants. A planet of sheep will be ruled by predators and wolves. But this is really about thinking you're right is about your sexual preference or what color you are, whereas that's in there, in the mix, to the exclusion of, do I have a right to not have foreign banks ruling over me, stealing my entire economy, picking winners and losers, deindustrializing, shutting down the small businesses. You know, federal law says 2/3 of federal bids should go to small business. None of it goes to it, basically. And I have the head of the Small Business League on going, we're all being discriminated against. If we're going to have a big government, the money shouldn't go offshore. It should go to a bid process. And the money should go back in the economy. That's discrimination. That gets me upset. Lying, when Rick Perry lies and says, it's the law, you've got to take these vaccines. That's discrimination, a hoax, to say, take this deadly shot. When Mexico's forcing Gardasil on all girls by law, here it wasn't the law, he lied and said it was. They're doing it. Japan banned it. It's killing people. I don't want those Mexican girls dying. My humanity, see, I'm a racist, is why. See, all this real stuff's happening. We're being hammered, folks, with chemtrails, electromagnetic. I'm getting chills right now. And they're just going to force race, 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 race. And I'll have to hear white people online saying racist stuff. And then I got to hear black people saying racist stuff. Just knowing what idiots they are when we've got a new world order over us. Coming down on us. Social engineering our genetics, our food, everything. Towards the end of civilization. Towards the end of humanity, towards Elysium. Man, I'm getting heavy chills. I don't think I've ever gotten chills this bad. You guys see this? I mean, I got goosebumps, man, because I realize, let's go to this clip of this lady saying she's a social engineer. Fox News last night. Here it is.
I have a greater duty beyond being an attorney, and that's to be a social engineer. And when the law doesn't get it right, I believe that we have the right to peacefully and morally, conscientiously object to the decision of the jury. That doesn't mean that we believe that it's going to be overturned or that it will, or that we don't respect the decision that those 6 people made. But there are millions of people out there who don't agree with that decision. So it's not just the legal team.
You know what the problem is, though?
You know,
that's disturbing. That's
deeply from all over the world.
That's deeply disturbing. They say millions are out there who didn't see it. You know, and I know that millions of people who may not.
Jasmine Rand she says it again and again. The full clip's up on Infowars.com. But this is an inherently evil woman using her beauty and her mind to sit there and play games. And again, anytime people like her, Al Sharpton, all these folks, black, white, doesn't matter, when they seize on this, it's to make them a celebrity. And the more radical they are, like the Fox Sports guys saying all gun owners are racist, they're in the new Klan, basically. I mean, they know that's a lie. And see, they get to be racist. They get to promote race baiting as a political weapon. Because all they want is green money, folks. They want to separate you from your money. It is unbelievable. All right, I'm going to get into a bunch of other news. Got a special guest in studio. We'll open the phones up as well. And I got an old compadre coming in. Anthony Gucciardi is going to be joining us. He heads up StoryLeak.com. What a great website name. And he just does a lot of great reporting for Infowars.com, for naturalnews.com. And his stories are just so well researched and informative. We've covered this the last week, that after Israel used a Dolphin submarine to launch its own cruise missiles in to blow up Russian defensive anti-ship missiles, that the Russians have been massing troops and a bunch of other stuff. While we're busy, you know, talking about the new Christ figure, Trayvon Martin, and the white devil that killed him, And as MSNBC's busy saying, white children need to be killed so we learn the pain, and as whites get attacked all over the country in this orgy of balkanization and race politics out of the party of the Ku Klux Klan, the Democrats, again, I'm not even a Republican, folks, just the Democrats are the seediest, nastiest, big city corruption mafia group of knuckle-dragging scum I've ever seen in my life. People like Chris Matthews and all these master manipulators, they make me want to throw up. And I know there's been well-meaning Democrats in the past, and the Democrats, you know, claim they stand for good things on the surface. But the truth is, ladies and gentlemen, Dwight D. Eisenhower and the Republicans got the Civil Rights Act passed. They were the ones. The Democrats figured that America had shifted against them, the white voters mainly, in the North and the South and the West. And so they said, oh, really, we'll one-up you. We'll pay the black families not to have men in the house. That'd been Margaret Sanger's thing they'd already done in New York. And we'll put them all in prison and take over and destroy their culture. And since then, we've gone from less than 10% black illegitimacy to over 93%. Blacks had less illegitimacy. You can pull these numbers up, you know, single-parent homes from the kickoff than whites did. Of course, whites are now at about 50% illegitimate. So don't worry. Everything that's been done to the black people will be done on a slow roast to the Hispanics, the blacks, the whites. We're all in the same social engineering roaster. It's like a crock pot we've been put in here, and they're outside laughing as social engineers. And I just played a clip of the Martin's lawyer, Cutie Cakes, Miss Rand, up there with just arrogant going, I'm a social engineer. That's what this trial's about. Yeah, you guys have really engineered something. You know, you judge an employee by their production, their quality, how honorable they are. You judge a tree by its fruits. I don't care how big a fruit tree is, an apple tree. I've got some apple trees, some date trees, some plum trees, peach trees, and some of the big old green ones don't really put off a lot of fruit, but some little scraggly ones may put off even more fruit. And so I judge a tree by its fruits. Of course, I'm an extremist. I judge a hunting dog by how good it can find the quail. I judge a restaurant by how good the food is. See, I actually judge a tree by its fruits. We're not supposed to do that. We're supposed to just judge right off the surface and what you look like. And I guess at some levels, how beautiful someone is or how strong they look. At a certain point, I guess when I was like 18 years old, I'd go off how a woman looked, 100%. But the older I've gotten, I've gone off how somebody acts. I'd rather be hanging around with a 300-pound fat person that's got moles on their face. I'm talking about a particular person I know I'm friends with. Than I would with some beautiful person on the surface who's arrogant and shallow and not smart. I'd rather hang around with somebody that's funny and somebody who's nice and somebody who likes me and isn't a parasite than I'd rather hang around with a beautiful person. Now, the big problem is when you're around a beautiful person who's also very nice and they have a great personality, then there's a problem. Obviously, then obviously I'm very attracted to that. But it's all for me about personality and who people are. And that's what Martin Luther King stood for. Because he was a racist. I'm being sarcastic, ladies and gentlemen. Jimmy Carter's a racist. He said the jury did the right thing. He's a racist. Jimmy Carter, now known as the cracker ass. We'll be right back. I'm being sarcastic, folks. Stay with us. All right, folks. We're going to open the phones up at the bottom of the hour to take your calls on everything that's happening. Kind of open line Wednesday here. In fact, here is the toll-free number to join us. It's 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231 to cover whatever subjects you want to get into. But Anthony is joining us here in studio, Gucciardi, and he writes, of course, for his two amazing websites, StoryLeak.com, and he also has Natural Society, and he contributes a lot to Infowars.com, and also the great folks over at naturalnews.com. But in the last week, we've been reposting and, I guess, syndicating online a lot of his very interesting and informative articles. So I wanted to go over some of those with him and then have him ride shotgun to take some phone calls here with us today. Here's a few of them. While we're busy obsessing on Planet Trayvon Martin, World War III brews as a nation distracted by Trayvon Martin case. Oh, yes, massing Russian troops. Israel fired cruise missiles into some of their installations in Syria. Also, Russian military amasses full combat readiness strategic bombers. Japan had to scramble fighters because of it. That's some of the news. WTC owner Larry Silverstein sues airlines for billions over 9/11 after $5 billion insurance payout. And then the main reason I wanted to get him on, report GMO activist and independent scientist targeted by military. And I covered this 4 years ago when the Army leaked it, that Ron Paul and his In the Fed rallies, including an In the Fed rally I had in Dallas, the Army was there in plain clothes, and it said, don't let them know you're there. They may attack you or kill you. And, of course, Michael Moore, who I'm not a big fan of, but in his Fahrenheit 9/11, he showed what had already been in the news in Houston. The Army was going to milquetoast peace groups who were baking cookies. And it showed this completely non-threatening group. They had the Army and they had police infiltrating them. Totally illegal, folks. But you have domestic CIA propaganda. You have all this stuff going on, but nobody watching the big corrupt government. So we're going to be going over all of that today. But first, Anthony, because you brought this up, what is your take on the whole saga? And now MSNBC host saying white children need to be killed to show them our pain. Yeah, we can have like human sacrifice again. Like in fact, that's an idea, not just pay indulgences of carbon taxes to Obama and Al Gore to drive cars, but we could actually have federal sacrifices of white children. Maybe feed them into wood chippers up on the Rose Garden lawn, and then Al Sharpton can maybe pull a lever, or maybe this professor, and then we could just throw white babies in. Like one of the new Black Panther Party guys said one time, he said we should kill the white babies and kill the white women because of the military manufacturing center. So what do you say about that? Well, I mean, in your inherent white devilness.
Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, on Twitter, the rioters say basically kill all white folks. So, I mean, maybe we should have a Times Square type of rally where we just hang all white people. I mean, that's what they want. MSNBC says we need more white children to die to fully understand this. And I guess that's what it comes down to in this mainstream media theater piece. That is a distraction, but we do need to cover it to highlight that. So when people,
what if people started committing suicide? I bet if they told trendies, if Obama told white people to commit suicide, I'm not exaggerating. I bet 100,000 people would kill themselves. Well, he could be like Jim Jones. Maybe have Kool-Aid.
Well, I think, you know, it's white guilt. Maybe they should kill themselves for doing nothing to anybody. I mean, Zimmerman isn't even white to begin with, and that's a whole nother topic.
It's like Kim Jong-un.
Right. It's, you know.
Maybe he's a North Korean spy.
Maybe, apparently. But notice also when the lawyers go on Piers Morgan and everything, they actually absolutely dominate him because they have no actual talking points or logic whatsoever. But the fact of the matter is, again, it is a distraction first and foremost. While we have World War III brewing or already commencing in Russia with 160,000 troops in full combat readiness.
But Russia is crackers too. Kill them.
Oh, everybody needs to die.
They should all kill themselves.
Everybody needs to die, besides, obviously, Trayvon Martin. So, but bottom line is that, as you would say, Israel went in and blew up the Russian missiles in Syria. And then,
yeah, let's show those anti-ship missiles that were blown up. If you just type in Israel used Dolphin submarine to destroy Russian missiles, it'll pop up, and undoubtedly Russian crews on them. Keep going. I mean, that was loving, though.
Yeah, so they actually instigated all this, and they act like it's no big deal. And then Russia goes ahead and orders this combat readiness emergency response drill, whatever they want to call it. Putin goes in because he's not going to take that. You know, he's not somebody like Obama that's just going to take that.
Well, he's racist.
You know, he's obviously racist. So Israel goes ahead and says, you know, how dare Russia do that? How dare they amass the troops after we blow up their stuff? And Russia's here with these strategic bombers, and I have just interviewed with RT, and I hear that society over there is calling for nukes for Israel. They absolutely want to go into war. They want to go against Israel. And, I mean, all of this is brewing, and the mainstream media is too busy talking about what Zimmerman ate for breakfast. It's a joke.
Maybe they could use those big bear strategic bombers to drop white people on Israel.
Maybe, and go into the gulags as a response. But yeah, I think it's amazing that we have this, a brewing of World War III, if not something else, a global conflict potentially, or most likely.
Right out of the Bible, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It is biblical proportions. I mean, if Russia were to attack Israel as it is written in Revelations and so on, I mean, we all know what may happen, and it may mean that we're closer to, you know, certain scenarios than we previously thought. I mean, this is massive breaking news, and you did cover it up on Infowars.com when I originally wrote on StoryLeak. So Infowars and StoryLeak were the only ones actually even talking about this. Besides the Israeli National Post, it's a complete spin article on it, though, that Russia's evil for responding to their blowing up of their missiles, which they instigated it. But then it goes into the question, really, if Russia was to go up against Israel, the United States would undoubtedly back Israel, and then you actually have a world war scenario. Now, it's not that nothing's happened yet. Russia hasn't done anything fully, but they have full combat readiness troops and strategic bombers ready to go. But Israel actually went in a hot war, blew up their missile system. So we're facing so many threats domestically and internationally. It's hard to keep up with some people, you know, where it's going and everything like that. But the fact of the matter is now we're struggling against the U.S. military domestically, and they're about to go potentially fight another war. It's a war on all sides against the people and the Constitution, which is burning and fueling all of this like coal in the train of tyranny up against the world right now.
And then we have our government putting in hundreds of thousands in the last 2 years of real al-Qaeda who are engaged in incredible atrocities, just starting a war with Syria, and it's not even in our news.
And then the Syrian rebels go in, of course, kill all the Christians, eat their heart for their power.
On TV.
And that's fine, though. I mean, that's not a big deal, apparently.
And then we're living in a Twilight Zone world where Vladimir Putin says it's wrong that they're eating hearts on TV and our media criticizes him. And I don't live in Russia. I've never been to Russia. No. I'm not a fan of the Russian system, but Russia is not here taking my country over. Foreign banks have hijacked my country. They're force-feeding us GMO. They're trying to force vaccines on us. They're trying to start race wars. What do you think is the method to Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan madness? Because that's who runs it.
Well, let me tell you something interesting here. This is actually from Bloomberg, but it goes into an NBC report. Taxpayers fund the mega banks with $83 billion per year. Okay, that works from the mega bailouts and different leveraging systems.
It's a lot more than that. That's just one funding.
That's just on paper. Okay, that's just the very minimal amount, $83 billion publicly on paper.
But the QE3 is 80-something billion a month.
Oh, it all stacks up way higher. But this is just the taxpayer dollars here, $83 billion that goes into the government funding that ultimately goes to the banks. But then NBC reports that it was in the back of the news. I found it had about 12 shares on Facebook, that the banks then take that cash and use it to finance the Mexican drug cartels publicly, 100%, and terror cells, known terror cells inside the United States, yet we still continue to fund them with the $83 billion and the more amounts of cash that you're talking about every single year. So what's going on? And that's apparently, they claim, that's pretty much all of their profit.
But see, I don't need to respond to any of that. I could just call you racist.
You could, and I obviously am, because I'm against big banks and tyranny of all kinds, and also I'm against racial profiling, which is what's happening. I mean, when Rachel Jeantel goes on Piers Morgan and says certain things, they just clap because she's black, and that's the...
Well, no, she said he was obviously a...
gay rapist.
A gay pervert.
And Nancy Grace says that, you know, he's Zimmerman's a Taco Bell loving, churro eating, you know, blank. And I mean, that's perfectly fine, though. You can insult Zimmerman because he's a white Hispanic. So that's perfectly fine.
I'll tell you what's bizarre about this is, I mean, when you look at Nancy Grace, she's like a cartoon character. Yeah. And all she spews, you know, why is she allowed to basically call Zimmerman a racist name towards Hispanics? I guess anything to whip things up. I guess that's the mission.
Well, the real question is, where are the Hispanics? Why don't they care about this? George Zimmerman is a Hispanic, and when you say, yeah, he goes through Taco Bell and eats churros every night, that is racist. If I were to go up and say, yeah, Trayvon loves watermelon and fried chicken, do you know what would happen? You know what might happen just because I made a reference to that? But she can say that Zimmerman loves Taco Bell and churros and use race baiting and so on and so forth, and Salon can go out and use the same thing. But we're not allowed to talk about that simply because I guess we're in the right and we have logic on our side, and anyone that makes any sense isn't allowed to use a counter-argument to this race-baiting garbage.
But see, that's what it does. We're not discussing all the scandals, the IRS gate, the NSA gate, telling pro-life groups what they can pray. That's on record. That's how authoritarian this is. Yeah, they're chanting Hail Satan down at the Texas Capitol, little heroes, you know, against the pro-lifers. And the answer is, let's just have a big race fight.
Well, and you're talking about earlier, I mean, what they are is they're shallow, if anything. They're insulting us, saying we're racist and dumb. They're making it about race, and they're coming down to the point where it's about Trayvon being black. And, oh, Zimmerman was a gay rapist, racist. How many things can you pile up on this guy? And then they go out and insult the gay community. You know, everyone's all concerned about being politically correct. They're the most politically incorrect.
Well, the politically correct are the only ones that can do whatever they want.
Exactly.
That's the rule. It's like an Animal Farm where, you know, 4 legs good, you know, 2 legs bad. It then becomes 4 legs good, 2 legs good, and then it becomes 4 legs, you know, good, 2 legs better. Then it becomes, again, 2 legs good, 4 legs bad, and the pigs are all now walking around on 2 feet. It's the same thing. That's all they've got. We'll be right back to get into the World War III scenario and so much more in your phone calls.
When it first came out that Zimmerman had said coon on the 911 call, I mean, to me, that was open and shut. That showed ill will and hatred. Open and shut. I mean, there wasn't even a question. Now that they revised it and said, he's saying, these punks get away with it. They always get away with it.
The rich get rich. That's how it goes. Everybody knows.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with Anthony Gucciardi, and he's got a great news website that I just follow every day, storyleak.com, link to it up on Infowars.com. They are trying to invoke everything she can. We've got the clip of her saying, oh, he loves his Mexican food every night driving through Taco Bell. What does that even mean? And invoking this racial word that clearly audio doesn't say. But again, it just shows how they can change the whole subject from the entire world of what's happening onto this to then blame the Second Amendment, but also make rights only about race or sex or religion, not about, what about a right to not have Agenda 21 shut down our country's industries? What about that right?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, the whole stand your ground thing isn't even about stand your ground. It's about the Second Amendment. They want to get rid of the Second Amendment entirely. They've said that repeatedly over and over again. Politicians are completely on board with that entire thing. I made a documentary about it called Disarm for your Operation Paul Revere contest. And that's the simple reality, is that this is not even about Trayvon Martin at the heart of it in certain ways. It's really about ending the ability to own a weapon. Look at Obama. He said Trayvon Martin could have been his son. Well, I think the media used the 12-year-old Trayvon Martin, but if you look at the actual 17-year-old Trayvon Martin, if that was Obama's son, there's definitely something wrong there, no question. And it's ultimately been about a war on the Constitution, and that's why we have 100-mile Constitution-free zones as done by the DHS that extend beyond the quote-unquote border, including the oceans that swallows Philadelphia, Houston, over 100 million people, where they don't have the Fourth Amendment right, so they can search your belongings at any time. So you go down to Houston around here, and you don't have your Fourth Amendment right. The DHS can, quote-unquote, legally stop you and search your stuff. The Constitution does not apply in Houston, according to the DHS. That's admitted.
Amazing. I want to shift gears to Rolling Stone Boston bomber cover sparks outrage. That's from the London Telegraph. And it says that Zohar Zarnev has been featured on the front cover of Rolling Stone magazine, sparking an outcry on social media that they're implying that he's a hero. Well, that's not even the big issue for me. It's that it says the bomber. The bomber. This guy's pled not guilty. They're on tape going, don't shoot, we didn't do it. They clearly wanted to kill the other brother. They've shot the friend in the top of the head. FBI agents involved have been falling out of helicopters. We know there was a drill. And his brother was working for the CIA. This has all come out. And then I've got a clip coming up after the break where the Five last Friday said anybody that says free him or investigate, he's innocent, because they're acting like people are saying free him, he's a hero. No, the group saying free him are our listeners who've done the research. I've been contacted by their lawyers. They're trying to get a hold of him. I mean, it's clear he is a patsy. They shot that boat up trying to kill him. And then the media got cameras on it so they couldn't. He got out and there was 500 bullet holes or more in it. And then he's suddenly talking next, his throat's cut out. But who knows what he's going through. And he says not guilty. And it's like, how dare him try to get a free trial? What do you think's going on with this?
Okay, here's the reality of this 100%. And I was right with you from day one, covering the Boston bombings, up all night, literally 2 nights in a row, covering this stuff. because I find that when you watch the news at 2 a.m., you get the real information, and that's the bottom line. But the fact is they're using Tsarnaev to basically go after this anti-hero. And sure, they're putting it on the cover, and that is encouraging more people to go and kill people. But like you said, the main thing is that when they locked down Boston, and I had readers actually sending me live feeds of troops coming into their house and stuff like that. When they locked down Boston and went on this witch hunt for the brothers, what happened was people actually started cheering the abandonment of the legal system, the abandonment of the Constitution, and that's exactly what they want. And Politico says now that's a routine thing, that cities will routinely be shut down now to search for terrorists. So what's happened is people are now applauding in a 1984-like scenario. They're clapping, they're screaming, they're so happy. Please take away our Constitution to get.
And that's the psyop. They really psyop that and then project that idea to then sell the rest of it. And now police, oh, fireworks got shot off in Las Vegas. We'll shut down your whole neighborhood and search your houses. They're setting that precedent.
Well, did you see that one city with the image that a reader had sent to me, actually, and you guys posted up? It went viral on your website, Infowars.com. And it was 4th of July park rules, fireworks banned, grills banned, no dogs, no pets, no children after a certain time, no yelling, no screaming, no music. It was just everything. And they had cops search the people when they walked into the park for 4th of July. All bags, coolers must be searched, it said, in bold red letters. Your freedom is a thing of the past.
Absolutely. Yeah, there it is. And then some terrorist posted the 4th Amendment on it later.
Yeah.
That person needs to be sent to Guantanamo.
We're on the march.
Yeah, they're bad. Racist. But when you're actually following things, Anthony, who's here in studio with us, Anthony Gucciardi of Story Leak website, when you're actually paying attention to all of this, you can see the drill, the intelligence operation, the stand down. Then they say, don't talk about the drill. Don't look at the photos of the contractors. And you just walk through the entire scenario, and then they kill the one brother, try to kill the other, kill the family friend who had also been going overseas with the older brother, who was part of a CIA-funded group. And they say, well, he's from Al-Qaeda in Chechnya. That's run by the West on record. Look at this. FBI bars release of autopsy info on Boston bombing suspect's acquaintance. They go to his house. They shoot him in the top of the head. They lie and say he attacked him. Later, they admit he didn't attack him. And then now we're not going to release his autopsy info. They will not release the autopsy info on Michael Hastings. By the way, big Michael Hastings development. And then we'll get back into this. I got a call at about 5 o'clock yesterday by Staff Sergeant Joseph Biggs, who was really good friends with the Rolling Stone associate editor whose car blew up 3-4 weeks ago in Los Angeles. And he went to the funeral. He's friends with the wife, Mrs. Hastings, who was a speechwriter for Condoleezza Rice, by the way, and worked in the Bush White House. And he's this big award-winning reporter, and you've got the whole story about what happened to him that I won't repeat. But he said, I'm going into hiding. They're coming after me. We got feds visiting friends' family. They're probably going to raid BuzzFeed, get a lawyer, biggest story ever, CIA. I'm going underground to break it. Car blows up, 4 a.m. The wife goes to the funeral and tells Staff Sergeant Biggs, I'm going to bring these people down. She called him up yesterday, and I'm not at liberty to tell all of it, because I announced I was going to send Biggs, pay for it. He didn't have the money. He's in college, out of the military after 8 years or whatever. And I was going to send investigative journalist Wayne Madsen there, and I was going to send David Knight there and Rob Jacobson there. She called up. She was texting and texting, going, don't do this, respect my wishes, don't come investigate. Then he calls her number, and she's crying in the background. Her friend answers and says, she's crying, just please don't do this. There's no doubt they've been threatened. And he said that when he went to the funeral, the friends and family were like, oh, we're scared. No, the feds did come. We're not going to say who, because they see the feds on TV saying we never visited them. They know they came. They're freaked out. They know. I mean, she thinks they killed him, and then she's so scared, I guess, for her child. Do you respect her? We're going to give it a week. We're going to see what happens. But it's not just about her husband. It's about journalists and the media, and it's about, you know, just because she says stand down, or just because she says don't come do this because she's scared, does everybody have to back down? And then where's the media? They clearly blew his car up. They're coming after me. I'm going into hiding. Biggest story ever. Boom! And then now they're suppressing the police report, and they did cremate the body without permission. That's illegal. I mean, Anthony Gucciardi, what is your take on this?
Let me share something with you. Exclusive here. I've never talked about this before, but I'm going to do it because when you said that, this story pretty much sent chills down my spine. During the Boston bombings, I was in communication with the guy who told the Alabama media news post, I don't know what it's called, alabama.org or something. He said there was a drill on the day of the Boston bombing.
Yeah, that was the TV station.
Right, the TV station, but he told actually...
We talked to him and he got threatened.
Right, no, I did the interview with him. I did the exclusive. I called his cell phone. I did like 3 hours of research online. I got his cell phone from a college basketball thing or something. I called him. All of the people, BBC, NBC, CBS, he called me back. I don't even know why, but he did. And he called me back, and I did the report with him. I put it on YouTube, and it's got a ton of views, and you featured and everything like that. But I'll tell you what, I emailed him again, and I said, hey, you know, I would like to talk more about this. This is a huge breaking news. I actually asked if he would go on your show and everything.
I remember,
and he says, I can't talk about that anymore. No, I'm not ever talking about that again. Please take down the interview. Don't ever talk about that ever again. And the college emailed me and asked me to take the video down and everything like that. And I responded, I said, you know, what happened? Did you get threatened? You can talk about it because they might actually kill you if you don't actually go and speak about it. And the college person said, don't ever talk to us again. You're a conspiracy theorist. Alistair is no longer speaking to any of you guys.
And remember, he told the TV station that, he told a radio station that, and then you in more detail, and he obviously got threatened.
He obviously got threatened, and what's amazing is he wasn't some conspiracy theorist, as they would have you believe. He said that he was so happy there was bomb-sniffing dogs there and everything and violating the Constitution because he wanted to catch the terrorists.
And we now know there was a drill before that day, and they had one planned also where a patriot group was going to bomb it.
Exactly, and that's one of the things I covered, too, from the Boston Globe. In the back of the paper, I found it had one Facebook share. None of these things are ever shared, or no one talks about it. They had a fake group called Free American Citizens, I believe it was.
Nothing worse than them.
And they were supposed to blow up the whole entire thing and kill everybody, and they were going to run multiple drills of that exact scenario. They were going to use backpacks with amateur explosives to kill everyone. And then I literally say that. I say, this is from the Boston Globe. You put it on Infowars.com, and people trash us and say that we're talking about drills that don't exist.
But it turns out they did a drill of the Boston Marathon bomb 2 years before. They were doing drills before of it being bombed, and then now we learned there was the Patriot group. That's if they got caught, they were going to run with that as the cover. It's always the same story.
And everything was leading up to a right-wing extremist group.
Remember, they had the guy at the courthouse. It's him. We were right. Yep. And then all of a sudden, they surround it with armored vehicles. And so they could sneak the guy out and go, that's not it, we're going with another plan.
And the CNN
then they fish Saudis out of the river.
And the CNN analyst on that day said it has to be a right-wing extremist. Everything was set to the point to where it was going to be blamed on a right-wing extremist.
How mad do you think we are? How mad do you think the globalists are going to get if we continue to expose them?
They are going to lose, ultimately. I mean, teaming up and coming together, these alternative news sources like we've never seen before, no bickering, no wasting time, infighting garbage. We're coming together, we're just blasting them. I mean, we're hitting them like a train right now. I mean, they can't even handle it. The mainstream media is so irrelevant.
How mad do you think they are when what we call the Kraken? In fact, will you hand me that, Anthony, right there of that painting? I've never shown this on air before, and I apologize. Since I'm going to bring this up now for TV viewers, this is the Kraken, ladies and gentlemen, sent to us by an artist because I dubbed Dan Badandi, our East Coast reporter, as the Kraken in Clash of the Titans. They say, release the Kraken. When he went and took over 3 press conferences, they had Secret Service come on video and threaten him. He said, I'm not afraid, and didn't back off. How angry do you think the globalists are that we absolutely took that over from them?
Probably about as angry as that loser kid who screamed at Dan for actually trying to go and reporting something that was real. But I think Dan did an awesome job on that, and a lot of exclusive information that we've never otherwise would have known if he didn't go out there. And it's sad, though. Think about this. Dan of InfoWars was the only guy to ask any real questions. If we didn't have InfoWars, if we didn't have other alternative news groups, where would we be?
Oh, no, the FBI pointed their fingers at over 100 reporters and said, you don't look at anything else. And you know what? They did what they were told.
They all do.
No one's covering Hastings. I mean, this is crazy. Thank God we're still alive, though.
Well, let me tell you something. I've been on mainstream media before, and it is literally all scripted. They'd sit down. I came in here. We came right in. We talked. We didn't even talk really about what we're going to talk about. It's just all boom, 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 you know. Mainstream media, they'll sit you down and say, what are you going to talk about? Okay, specifically, what points are you going to talk about? And if they don't like something, no, we're not going to talk about that. Or
oh, yeah.
You off air like they did with Pierce on You. They'll cut you off air if you're not following the script, if you're not following the monologue of BS and garbage and spewing, you know, illiterate dogma, then you're off the air, period. And they're not going to have you back on. Even though the ratings are super good and people want real information, which they do crave, and that's why we have record views of all these mainstream alternative news sites and the mainstream media. Yeah. According to Gallup, the trust is pretty much dead, and the viewership is dying. No one watches it.
So what do you expect to happen? Now they're going to go from propaganda power, and they admit the CIA is operating domestically with brainwashing now, just repealed that law. It was already dead. What are they going to do, though, is everyone knows that literally foreign offshore banks run the country. They run the paramilitary hit teams. They run the drugs. They run the white slavery. They run the snuff films, all on record, every horrible vice, and they are terrorists. I mean, what's going to happen as we all now, I guess they think they're going to go directly to troops.
Well, I mean, what's already happening with the mainstream media you're talking about is they're becoming a really, really fake version of InfoWars. Look at Bloomberg. They're releasing actual content that is about 1/1,000,000th of the truth, and they go, like I was talking about earlier, they released the piece that, yeah, we fund the mega banks with $83 billion a year, and why do we do that? And in reality, it's trillions. But they talk about the $83 billion publicly, so then it gets people a little mad, the Occupy Wall Street stuff, but nothing really happens. They don't go into why we're funding the bankers. They don't go into the Federal Reserve System. They don't go into eugenics, which happened to sterilize 60,000 people from 1929 to about the, I believe it was the...
And that's all whitewash, too. They just came out in California still doing it.
Yeah, so it all happens anyway. It's also the GMOs and everything, which we could talk about. But the fact of the matter is they're becoming a light, fake, phony version of the alternative news, but it's not going to work. Everyone can see that it's
That's right. We forced them now into disclosure, you know, 15 years after. Okay, we license plate scan you everywhere. Okay, well, there's a few cancer viruses in that shot. Big deal.
Breaking news.
Dun, 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 Pulitzer Prize. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, they get a Pulitzer Prize. They get massive views and traffic because some people who don't understand anything, they're like, holy, this is amazing. You know, this is going on now.
Alex, why aren't you covering license plate readers?
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think reads you in a toll road, lady?
Yeah. Exactly, and then also the WikiLeaks stuff, they'll cover it like 20 years after it's happened, and, you know, yeah, sure, some of the politicians are corrupt.
Oh, sure, Kissinger wanted to overthrow America, get rid of the Bill of Rights, big deal. Maybe we should, it's racist.
And also, they cover certain things, specifically after you force them to do it on InfoWars, and I come over.
Or Drudge.
Yeah, well, Drudge is an awesome way, too. For example, the girl that was harassed and literally beaten by the 6 alcohol agents, what a useful job, of the state.
For buying water?
For buying water. She went, and I covered that because I found it on this random blog, and I said, is this true? And I looked it up, and it was actually sourced from mainstream media, and this was old news. No one had talked to it at all. I covered it. You guys posted it. Gets up on, I guess it was Drudge, and then everyone's talking about it. It's on every single talk show. I was listening to Austin radio the other day, and they were talking about it. We are literally...
Oh, no. So many mornings I tune into local radio, and they're covering my stories.
And they don't ever...
Our story? No credit. No credit.
At all. I know how that feels. No one ever credits you because they want to act like, oh, the mainstream media is hip and relevant. Right, guys? We can make interesting news too, but they steal all their news and then they put a spin on it. They said, oh, it was these liberal alcohol agents that go and attack this conservative girl. Where are you getting that from? It's tyranny all around.
Well, see, they have to make it, it's the same thing, left, right, or black, white. It's always about dividing. Like, this happened bad because they're part of the bad group.
And they don't even use words anymore. It's just all, listen,
the same alcohol cops in the same state went after that black rapper. I forget his name. We had him on.
Yeah.
And he was buying the Arnold Palmer tea, and they did the same deal. The truth is they just do that.
They just have nothing else to do. They said there were 6 of them. 6 federal, I guess it was state actually.
State alcohol cups.
State alcohol, but it sounds...
Yeah, they sell the alcohol there.
Yeah, so they sit around, 6 of them at this place, like a convenience store, and they have nothing better to do. The girl was in her car, and they bashed her window in and started just assaulting her and just like freaking out.
Why not?
And then she says, hey, wait a minute. Let me roll down my window. They arrest her, and they charge her with 2 felonies, assaulting a police officer and something else.
I think she should be given the death penalty.
She should be killed. And what happened is, ultimately, someone reasonable in the government went and said, hey, this is
the prosecutor.
Yeah, but the alcohol agent said, no, she still should be hit with those 2 felonies. They are ruthless. They don't give a crap. And police officers email me.
No, wait a minute. They care. They care. I mean, they care because they want to hurt her. It's not just they don't care.
No, no, no.
They want to hurt her and put her in prison for life. They want to ruin her life for buying LaCroix water to go to for a fundraiser for disabled kids.
Yeah.
How dare her, scum?
Well, you know what it really is, and not all cops are bad. We know that, yes. But the fact is, I get a lot of emails and news tips that steroid use and all these drugs are just rampant in the police force and these agents and everything like that. And they're just dosing up 10 times the amount that even bodybuilders do. So, I mean, they're just going into complete rage, going crazy. You know what happens to your mind from a health perspective when you do that? It just completely makes you insane. Like, literally. When
I start exercising a lot, I get more aggressive naturally. I couldn't imagine taking that stuff.
Imagine that times 1,000. I mean, people have been on steroids for various reasons, maybe health reasons. They might know what we're talking about. You know, the prescribed.
Anabolic, yeah.
Exactly. But the fact is that these people are dosed up on so much stuff, not just steroids, we're talking coke, anything they can confiscate and do real quick from these guys.
But you also talk about the training where it's instant shooting, which is good to save your life, unless the guy gets out with his wallet and you shoot him and they go, well, he thought the wallet was a gun. And we see this all the time now.
Well, there's no question it's by design, but you can fuel this further by advocating the use of these drugs, and it's trickle-down tyranny, as Mike Adams would say.
They had the police chief of Fort Worth a few years ago come out and say, we all need to take steroids.
Yeah, it's a great thing. There was even a documentary that everyone should take steroids because they're perfectly fine, and then the guy's brother died, and he retracted the statement. But, I mean, it's amazing how the advocacy is basically do anything that's great for you. You are God. You are amazing, and the government is the only thing that's hard.
Well, that's the thing. Everybody I know basically goes to the doctor now, and they go, you know what you need is a bunch of steroids.
Or hormones. You got to get synthetic hormones, and then they turn insane and go crazy, and then what do? You put them on SSRIs. It's a whole entire system that you can go to the government as your dad. You want some birth control? Pay for me, please. Let me go out and have promiscuous sex with whoever I want. The government will take care of me. If I don't want the kid, get rid of it. Or if I'm feeling bad, I'll go to the pharmaceutical companies and free health care for everyone, free chemo. It's a whole system. The government is your dad. You need anything. More and more, Big Brother is your big brother.
Because it's a takeover. Let's go to some calls. I don't want to get into the military being used on groups that are investigating GMOs with Anthony Gucciardi here in studio. I'm Alex Jones, your host. So let's jam in a call right now. Robert, you're on the air. Welcome, sir.
Hey, Alex. God bless you, brother. I know time's money, and I got a couple of points I want to make. I want you to set up a button on your website for donations. Pick some categories up, Alex. Where
I think we have one, but I always forget to tell my guys, I don't think it even goes to a real PayPal link. So much of it, we're busy just covering the news that we don't even get into stuff like that. But yes, I will have that looked at, and we'll put one up there. Thank you for that's a nice idea, caller. Go ahead.
Money is how we fight what's going on. And there's so many people out here like myself that, what do we do? What do we do? We can send you money. If we can't use your products, I don't feel like, what to do with them, we can always send money.
Well, unfortunately, sir, your phone is breaking up, but it cost a lot to run this operation. I'm spending everything and even money I saved in a full expansion to just really try to go after the globalists, because I know that there's no future if we don't beat these people.
Well, I was going to say also, buy the magazine if you want. I mean, some of my articles have been featured in there. I get the magazine. It's really good. By
the way, we sell this at cost. So this is something that's purely meant, a big color glossy magazine to wake people up. Plus, this current July issue has 10 bumper stickers in it.
Yeah, it's a great magazine, though. Like I said, a bunch of my articles are in there, and I read every month. So purchase that if you want to help them out as well. Spread the word.
Well, they're all over Austin, too. We put a lot of them on the street here.
I see them everywhere. Everybody's reading them.
Absolutely. I'm walking in restaurants and stuff. People are reading them almost everywhere I go. It's really having an effect. Okay, sorry, caller. I wanted to talk to you, but your phone dropped out. We don't screen your calls. The guy's like, I want to give you money. And I'm like, click, okay. Get out here. Folks, we got a lot of great products, books, videos, you name it. Things that support you, things that support us. Win, win, win. We got the Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 that is now available at InfoWarsHealth.com. We've got the Pro Pure water filtration systems. That purchase supports our broadcast. But most importantly, it gets you to not drink all the poison they're putting in the tap water. We'll be back with more of your phone calls straight ahead. Stay with us. I'm actually glad that the mainstream media, Anthony, is really starting to finally cover that there's license plate scanning cameras up everywhere. They're tracking everything we're doing. But people are now starting to say, hey, I want that for my trial, or I want to use that to prove I haven't done something. And they're like, oh, no, that's not for you. So it just shows how it's a totally rigged system. and we're now learning how hopelessly corrupt the system is. Do you think they'll get away with it?
No, I don't. And what's interesting is it shows that we've already won. The fact that the mainstream media is forced to pick up on these alternative news pieces, even though they do spin it and make it into their own kind of fake left-right system, et cetera, et cetera. The fact is we've already won by making them cover it. And as far as this Orwellian system goes, just consider the fact that Verizon and T-Mobile are getting paid massive amounts of cash from the NSA and the FBI for letting them spy on your phone. So they have actually a public obligation as far as their shareholders are concerned to let the NSA and the FBI spy on people. They're getting like $500 a month to initiate a wiretap from the NSA. This is in a new report. And they're getting about $50 just for your little cell phone. They get about $50 more than you pay for your bill. They're getting from the NSA and the FBI to the point where it accumulates to about $500 million of revenue, profit, pure profit. They don't have to do anything for these companies, and they have about 90 employees. So I think Verizon had 30 or 90.
And by the way, that's just when they want to finally use it in court or something. They're already spying on everything. Then they get the official FISA roving, mass wiretap when they go to the next level.
Sure, but this is a pure profit motivation to spy on people. But also, yeah, they go directly to the servers for all this kind of stuff. And there's
and they've been paid billions a year to put the grids in the buildings. Let's go to a call here. Alan in Delaware, thanks for holding. You're on the air.
Hello, Alex.
Hey, buddy.
Just want to say that, Michael Hastings was onto something. Look, the Beltway is swarming. Every third car in rush hour is basically a government agent right now. You know the old saying, give people enough rope. Well, that's what they've done. And for the last 30 years, George Bush Sr. has been running this country. He's been running these psyops. I had two guys a few years ago move into my house. One was a listener, and the other one was working for Department of Homeland Security. And the bottom line is here, folks, the war is on the United States to shut us down, commingle us with the rest of the planet, turn us into bug specimen, and basically run our lives as bots to keep them validated.
It's the power trip of they don't want anybody to be free or have their own business because then they're not in control. I mean, this is the takedown of America. You're absolutely right.
Read Mein Kampf and you'll know what's coming. Read the New World Order and you'll know what's coming. Read the UN manuals, the Army manuals. You'll know what's coming. Cell phones, Facebook, all these social media. The mainstream media is doing a fantastic job keeping us asleep and in that trance of everything's fine, even though your feet are on fire and your kneecaps are melting.
Wow, this caller knows what he's talking about. We've got to get out of the trance. Where do you expect this to go? Because they say they're scientifically here to wreck everything and then pose as the saviors. What do we do dealing with a group of criminals this hardcore?
Well, we got to fight fire with fire. That means that we have to go to Washington. We need to go on the anniversary of Breitbart's death. I called for a March 1st, talk later. Let's go sit down. Look, just 3 million people, 1% on the mall in D.C. are trying to get there is going to send a message we've come to talk. The bottom line is here, folks, we're 30, 40 years into the melting pot. It isn't a joke anymore. Look at this crud they're feeding children. Children under 10 years old.
They're killing us, man. They're killing us. We'll be right back. Anthony Gucciardi's with us till about 20 after. Then my old friend and a fellow who helped produce my TV show, Mike Hanson, has agreed to pop by, drive out from where he lives in Gonzales, and talk about some of the adventures we've gone through. Because I'm on air going, yeah, Mike Hanson was there when the Special Forces guy jumped out of the bushes and tried to set things on fire to blame us. And it's like, sounds crazy, but I've got to have Mike come in and talk about some of the crazy stuff we've seen. We'll continue with your phone calls in this segment and the next. And then we'll also, Anthony, get into that story we haven't covered yet about using the Army on the organic food people or the FBI on the Amish, like they're bad to have their own milk. It's like they dress up in black uniforms, so then you're bad. It's like, next, I'm wearing a black uniform. Being a father is evil. I'm arresting you for being a father or breathing air. It's all like they're, have you noticed what I'm talking about? It's almost like a dress up with government, like they announce the fantasy and then we all play along with it.
Yeah, it's just weird worship of this concept that anything they deem to be incorrect or wrong, and they're always wrong. But anything they say,
it's always you're a suspect. What do you say for yourself?
Yeah, or free American thinkers. They call themselves InfoWars. They make it seem so spooky and weird. Everything this
They say the government might not be trusted. Oh, how crazy!
Yeah, exactly. Or they say that Russia has 160,000 troops ready for combat when it's actually happening 100%. Or the commenters will be the people buy into it too, though. They'll comment and say, there's no proof of this. When you link to CNN, you link to Israeli.
Oh, no, it's like, here's the company that has the targets for children to shoot them, and here they are admitting Homeland Security ordered them. Shut up, liar. They never do that.
Yeah, it's almost like they obviously are the ones who are mentally ill and often on SSRIs and stuff like that, but then they're saying that we're crazy for literally, we could copy-paste an article. Sometimes you guys post up articles from mainstream news, and they insult you. They say, Alex, this is crazy, when at the top it's linked to CNN. They don't even know how to basically click on some stuff, and a lot of people are informed, but the fact is that they'll trash us. It's all perceived. It's fake perception. They can go on your site, InfoWars, right now, and there will be an article up from a mainstream news organization, and there will be comments you can read where it says, Alex, you're making this up. You're crazy. Your writers are making this up, when it's from a mainstream news source.
Well, that's what may be made up is from them. But the point is that a lot of those are trolls. They know it's real.
Yeah.
They'll just say that because it's their job.
Sure, but there is a percentage of the population that literally buys into every single thing that the government says in the mainstream media, mouth propaganda, theater piece.
What are they going to do as everything gets taken away from them? I think cling even more to the New World Orders?
Yeah, I mean, so it's as you always say, some Zimbabwean or whatever scams you, you're $90,000 in. It's also marketing. I've studied marketing for pretty much all my life. The number one thing you do is you never make people think about the exit. You sell them something, and then when they're already invested in buying it, when they're about to click checkout, for example, there must be no distractions. We're here blowing the whistle and saying all this kind of stuff, and they're trying to ignore us as much as they possibly can so that we don't get in their heads.
I've had two people that I knew flip out and not associate with me when I said, listen, this Nigerian email scam is a scam. When you send Prince Abubu or Abipi or whatever it is, the $4,000, they'll say, oh, the prince is ready to talk to you. He needs 10,000 more. And it's like, the prince wants to talk to me? And then I go, okay, you're going to get ripped off. And then later they're like, you're just jealous that I know the prince. Well, I go, did you get your money back? Shut up. I know Prince Abibi. Ah.
How do you think they feel when they call the DHS and they think they're talking to Janet Napolitano, a high level? They're like celebrities because people worship celebrities. Now they worship government. It's the same thing. They call and they say, I saw someone who was doing something weird and they had an Infowars.com bumper sticker. Those are the same people. They feel the same way as if they're invested in this weird kind of system. And they think they are celebrities when they become it. Just like when you go to a show and you see someone in a rock concert, he's 5 feet away from me. That's how they feel when they snitch on you.
It's the reflected glory. It's like the celebrity thing of SWAT teams, and everybody's got to be in a SWAT team.
Yeah.
I mean, it literally is a bunch of little kids toddling around doing whatever they want.
And anyone else is racist. They're 5 years old. Their mind is so small. It's been reduced.
And then they just go, I don't like government-run health care. Racist. I don't want to turn my guns in. Racist. I think I want freedom. Racist. We'll be right back. Stay with us. All right, in this segment, we're going to run through some more of your phone calls with Anthony Gucciardi, writer, who's here with us in studio right now. And then I want to get into an article he had out a few days ago that is really creepy. Report, GMO activists and independent scientists targeted by U.S. military. Yeah, you didn't know the U.S. military is watching the Tea Party, everybody else domestically. It's totally illegal, but why not? Just do it. I mean, why not? So secretly spying on us. So is having the CIA be involved in domestic propaganda. They were already doing it, but now it's out in the open. And now Rolling Stone says the guy that's pled not guilty is the bomber. It's just, you just go directly to jail, and this just broke at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Federal court overturns block on NDAA, indefinite detention. Americans can legally be kidnapped and held without trial. Hitler had laws. He could do that. It doesn't mean they're lawful. And so land of the free, home of the brave, the only country in the world that actually has stuff like this on the books right now. North Korea doesn't have stuff like this on the books. Only land of the kidnapped, home of the fluoridated.
Yeah, where the Constitution doesn't exist, as I said, in most major cities now, LA, Houston, Philadelphia, from DHS, they actually said, we're going to review it. Okay, we're going to review it 4 years after we were requested to review it, when legally, under law, you have to review it within 90 days. But they did 4 years later, and they said, we determined that it's perfectly fine because the Constitution doesn't apply at the borders, which is a 100-mile zone throughout the entire United States, if you would imagine.
Well, everything they're doing is okay because Obama is black. And if you don't, he's the government, so you're racist.
Well, that's one thing that I don't know how we're going to beat, honestly. If they had a black, female, gay president, what can you do? You can't, I mean, Obama's bad, but can you imagine, you can't insult Trayvon, anything about Trayvon.
Wait, what if it was a transvestite, black, white, no, hermaphrodite.
A hermaphrodite, black, gay, you know, whatever, someone like that. What are you going to do? You can't say anything.
Because if you had an opinion on the drapes at the White House, that'd be racist.
You can't, you're not allowed to judge characteristics. You're not allowed to judge achievements, goals, anything, accomplishments.
It's just if you saw a black and white hermaphrodite, you just fall down and...
You better work.
Well, in England, they've got 3-parent babies now.
Yeah.
You could have like a 10-parent baby, like Asian, Hispanic, black, white, and then part animal or something. Because then you're anti-animal if you don't like it. You know?
Well, you know, it goes back to this whole thing. You're talking about laws that aren't actually legal. Well, the fact is, the legal system, we can't really win with that. People ask all the time, why don't you just sue the government? Why don't you just sue the FDA? Why don't you sue the FBI? Whatever. The laws are written so everything they do...
They're giving GMOs immunity now.
Yeah, they're giving GMOs immunity, and we'll talk about the report. Just imagine if they're classifying you as a terrorist, putting you on a watch list, surveilling everything you do, if you're against GMOs, which most people are. I mean, 92% to 94% of all the people in the United States, according to the Gallup polls, say they're in favor of at least GMO labeling, let alone a ban.
Well, they're racist.
That's low tier. I mean, they're obviously racist against, I guess, you know, who knows what GMOs.
Well, they're racist against grasshoppers because they put grasshopper genes in some of the corn, and they put and they put pesticides. A bacterial pesticide grows naturally in it and kills the. I mean, that's racist racist against bacteria.
Sure, but that's nothing. Now they have biofarms. By 2017, it's going to be a $17 billion industry, according to analysts, where they actually grow the AIDS vaccine. Every single type of experimental vaccine in the crops, they say it's more efficient.
And that openly blows around.
Yeah, yeah.
Which they admit could cause mass death, but if you're against that, you're racist.
And the USDA.
If you're against abortion, you're racist.
Yeah, if you're against abortion, which kills you know, hundreds of millions of black kids, specifically targets the black children. If you've had the black genocide.
That's spoken like a cracker racist.
Yeah, of course, obviously, because we actually care about the black people. We care about the kids that are being killed.
No, you want to kill Trayvon, racist.
And you know, when you crackerhead.
Yeah,
we can get into the whole abortion. One small, tiny fragment of it is when you allow the killing of these children, it allows these crazy people that we're talking about earlier that just are in love with this system. They don't care if it's after birth or not. Obama says after birth abortions are great.
Well, they're now saying kill babies up to age 3. And if you're against that, you're a cracker.
So at what point is a life valuable, if we can get into that whole debate? At age 20, or is my life valuable? Most people, who knows? Obama would probably say no. Is your life valuable? At what age is a person...
Hold on, put that article up. There's a cracker, a white guy, trying to say that 60% of black babies are aborted. I thought it was 52%, but that's saying 60.
I hear
look at it.
It's up.
He's a racist.
I mean, obviously.
Look at that racist. He's white. Get that. The FCC will shut us down putting a white person on TV.
Oh, but
what are you doing putting a racist on there?
But you know when a black person says it, like the black genocide guy, he's a race hater. That's what it is. So
he doesn't want to kill blacks. He's racist.
You can even be racist when you're black, saying don't kill black people. That's racist now. If you're black,
racist.
Yeah. So
Planned Parenthood loves me.
It's not racist though if you want to kill all the 60, 100 million, whatever, black kids. If you want that, that's good. Pierce Morgan, everybody who supports that.
Well, and now professor said black people can't be racist. Says kill the white children. So what's wrong with that? He says they need to die.
White isn't a race. I mean, racist is the whole concept of being against a race, but apparently racist means, what, blackest? You can only be racist against black people? It doesn't make any sense. The whole privilege concept is immune to any form of logic, reason, or any foundation. And here's the whole thing. It breaks down to this. We have a foundation of understanding, right? We have morals and principles to which we operate off of. Understanding of how the world works, the bankers work, and everything like that. And more importantly, we have fundamental morals that we follow. These people do not. They have no basis, so logic and everything and reason are not their guide. Their guide is pure emotional response to the mainstream media.
Oh, by the way, they were just showing a thing the FBI put out.
The 1969 coloring book. That's racist.
But that was also a false flag.
Of course it was, but the FBI went in and they made it, and they distributed massive amount of copies and then said it was the Black Panthers to discredit them and make them look racist when the FBI actually made the racist drawings. And they're racist on both
So they could get rid of the real Black Panthers and then bring in the new Black Panther that works for them.
That, of course, that go in and they start a bunch of conflicts and riots and everything like that. But if you saw the pictures, they show black people in a horrible light, and then all the white people are labeled pigs, and it says, good black children grow up to shoot whites. And it says all that kind of stuff. It says, yeah, if you're afraid of the pig, the white pig is afraid of black children because they are heroic or whatever. And those are coloring books for kids.
Our government pays for that in Mexico, saying the U.S. belongs to Mexico. The white is a pig creature.
Yeah.
Ford Foundation.
So the government is actually racist, but we're racist.
Well, they're not. They want us fighting with each other.
Sure.
That's why they're flying around in jet copters and, you know, in 20,000 square foot condos, you know, penthouses, and then telling the public, you're going to live in a 200 square foot thing.
Well,
or you're against the earth, which is racist against the earth.
Sure, well, they want to kill everybody, but they obviously...
But I mean, that's what that's all about. People with, like, carbon stickers on their car. They're beating themselves on the head going, I'm racist, racist. It's all about a guilt complex.
Well, look at all the movies, like After Earth, like the whole concept that humans are just disgusting creatures and that we are so evil that we have so much privilege, and we need to understand that we need to go back to the environment by killing ourselves and having one-child policies and stuff like that. It's all pushed to the point where if you go in Austin is a great place, but it's also a pretty bad place. I mean, you can go in some of these areas where they'll throw a brick through your car because it's not eco-friendly when the hybrids actually...
Oh, no, that goes on big time. But here's the issue. They've all destroyed California, and they're fleeing here.
Yeah.
And they don't even know, and they literally go, you will do as I say. Or they come to my wife and go, you shouldn't have 3 kids. Total cult members. And you're like, well, why have you evacuated here then?
And then
they go, we made it nice.
And they don't understand California is bankrupt for a reason. They come here and they want to bankrupt Texas as well.
Now you're being racist against Californians.
Yeah,
against trendies.
Racist, the race of California. They might as well be a race.
Ravings of a fascist.
It really does. I'm from Philadelphia, though. I'm not from Texas. I recognize the beauty of Texas, and I came here for a reason. I moved all my businesses here. I came here with everyone.
That was racist.
I encouraged every racist to come here. And it's just better. You know?
Oh, man. Oh, hey, let's talk to Karen in Arizona. Karen, thanks for holding. You're on the air with some serious racist. Go ahead.
I live in Wilmington, California. And I lived in Wilmington, and I was amongst the 93 riots. I worked for a flower shop in Carson, California, and it took 3 weeks before the owner or my boss, he would call and said, I have a white driver. Is it safe? They said no. It took 3 weeks before he felt comfortable, and I felt comfortable, to go into the areas. And I missed the L.A. riots by 2 hours. 2 hours.
Well, Reginald Denny getting his head beat in. I mean, he was, of course, he was white. I mean,
racist. The whole thing is stupid, though. But let the caller go ahead.
Go ahead, ma'am. I'm sorry. We're being racist.
It looked like a war zone. I've never seen anything like that. They even did devastation in Long Beach, California. I mean, in Inglewood and Hawthorne.
And you know, those neighborhoods have never recovered completely.
I know. I know.
Let me just say this. It's like, did you guys see that check? Probably not. It's a check from a restaurant. It's been going around lately. And it says tip, 0, no pay till justice for Trayvon. It's this irrational, weird response, blowing up, you know, private businesses, going to...
Yeah, let's boycott Florida when it's more than half, quote, minority. What is that going to do? Fine. Stevie Wonder or whatever it is.
Yeah, he's not going to play anywhere with Stand Your Ground.
And then, of course, Bruce Springsteen, no talent, like jumps on board and goes, I'm upset too. Just like, but you know, Jimmy Carter's he says the jury did the right thing. Yeah. Pretty bad person.
I guess self-defense is no longer valid now. I guess what's supposed to happen is if someone goes up and starts beating you, if they're a minority, you're just supposed to let them kill you.
No. That's racist. You're to slit your own throat. You're to cover a double-edged dagger and then present it to them and then help them ram it into you.
And Zimmerman's first mistake was he carried a concealed carry. That was his first mistake. He should have never...
Well, that's racist.
That's racist. He should have never thought...
All gun ownership, Fox Sports has said, is racist.
Well, Joe Biden...
Unless it's the government just murdering blacks with, you know, in mass with AFRICOM, then that's good.
It's okay for the government, for the police to have weapons, but you know what's always an interesting question to these gun grabber people, too? They say all guns should be banned. Well, should the police have guns? Well, yeah, of course they should.
By the way, we just showed a cartoon where they're now saying neighborhood watch is the Klan.
The Klan. I see that. Wow.
Well, see, here's the deal. The big city crime bosses want us all to live like they do in the bad areas of New York, Chicago, and D.C. I mean, this is their system.
Well, notice the Klan guy was white also. Zimmerman is not even white. We mentioned this earlier, but where the heck are the Hispanics? They're being destroyed here. They're being targeted. Zimmerman is the Hispanic that is being targeted as a white guy. So are all Hispanics white? Are black people the only minority? Is racism not even real unless it's against a black person?
Well, that's because you're being racist. All right, enough of that, folks. Hey, thank you so much for coming in, bro. Great job with what you're doing. Anthony Gucciardi with us. We'll be right back with Mike Hanson in studio and more of your evil phone calls. Okay, Mike. Hey, folks, we're going to get to your calls. I know that Hugh Whistle and Mike and Robert, Constitutional Terrorist, and Terry and others are patiently holding on this Wednesday edition. But I'm always talking about Mike Hanson and the fellow he's got that does Mike Hanson Archives. It's mainly a lot of new news stuff. Mike has got all the really good tapes of like me protesting the Klan and the cops pointing guns at us when we're protesting them, the snipers, and just unbelievable stuff. So, Mike, for one reason you're here, you're saying send my crew down there. Fine, I'll send my crew down there to get the really good stuff and get it on there. I appreciate you guys doing it. And I was offering to pay your guy to do it. He says he does it volunteer. But how do we get all that epic stuff nobody's seen on TV?
Alex, it's not like we hadn't been doing anything. You know, we've put on Mike Hanson Archives on YouTube, it's all about Alex Jones.
No, I don't care about that. I just want the old stuff because I haven't seen it.
We do have a
Here's an example. I'm at my dad's house, and he goes, I found 8mm footage of your grandfather bird hunting. I've never seen film footage of my grandfather. He died when I was 6 years old, my dad's dad. And I said, well, go find it. Let me see. He goes, oh, I don't know where it is. I was like, why did you just tell me about that?
No,
it's
not at all. I have all the gold.
People don't even care.
18 years of gold. Well, you know,
it's about 7, 8 years, yeah.
Well, no, 18 years ago, I saw you at Access TV. I said, that guy's going to be a star.
Oh,
these days.
Knock it off, Hanson.
The first time I saw you, I said, that guy's going to be a
star. I don't want to be a star.
That was 18 years ago. And you're way beyond anything I thought you could. And I had to tell you about that Pierce Morgan. I was down at the beach with some investors of mine, good friends, and we watched that interview, and that was the best job you've ever done.
Well, Mike, you've done a great job. You've been a star for liberty.
That was great.
Well, thank you, Mike. Mike, I want to get into your book that we sell, Bohemian Grove, Cult Conspiracy. I mean, this is a very well-written, thick book, if you really want to understand it, with a lot of top researchers that contributed to it. Very, very important. That's not why Mike's here today. But I tell you, Mike, there is just so much. It's a side issue. I just saw your archive guy, and I was like, man, because you know what I did? I ended up just throwing away when I moved, like 13 years ago, all my original stuff. I was like, I don't want all this. I cover stuff better now and just trash it all. Where they were taking old people's property and where all that kind of stuff was going on. We have got to put all those old reports out because it's a great example
You have done a great job.
Enough about me, Hanson. I got you here to talk about what you're up to.
Well, you remember when you did this
how's your wife doing?
Oh, how's your wife doing?
She's good.
She's doing great. I've been married almost 30 years now. What about you?
Yeah, it's about 12, yeah.
12, okay.
Your kids are all grown?
My kids are all grown.
See,
I have a 5-year-old grandson. Justin has a 5-year-old.
That's amazing. How's Crystal?
And Crystal got married last month.
No, but see what it is, Mike. For those that don't know, Mike used to live in Austin. So I saw him all the time. We go out to eat. Now you moved to Gonzales.
Used to be in your dining room, and now you got this big warehouse. That's how little it used to be, even before your wife was married.
Absolutely.
I mean, we were working together 18 years ago, and it's just amazing. To look at this big warehouse.
But then
I'm so proud of y'all.
But then you moved to Gonzales to manage a bunch of family property.
In 2001, a month after 911, and I remember where I was on 911 because I called you, Alex, and you were in the shower. I said, something's going on. I said, there's some planes hitting, and your wife, said, hey, turn the TV on.
No, she got me out of the shower, yeah.
I can say I was the one that told Alex Jones about 911.
And remember the hate calls we got that day because the show from 2 months before re-aired on Access?
Yeah.
Where I was saying they're going to blow up the towers. They thought I was saying it that day.
That's right. And you predicted it 3 months before.
Oh, yeah. By the way, Esquire's been trying to get me to fact check that because we don't have any way to prove that.
But anyway,
because I don't know where the tape is.
A month after,
I don't know where the tape is.
You're going to get all the gold.
Where is that July 25th show?
You're going to. I have it. You're gonna get all the gold if it's all sitting at Nate's house in air conditioning, so it's not being ruined. And
I don't even care about all that. It's just some of the tidbits.
A month after 9/11, my grandma died, and then 2 years later, my grandpa died. So I bought their estate in Gonzales, Texas.
Yeah, that's right.
So that started me having to be in Gonzales a lot more and not, help you as much as I.
Absolutely.
But I did help you for 14 years.
Yeah, well, you've done a great job, Mike.
Okay.
I tell you, Mike,
this is the house I live in now. It's my grandpa.
Here, let me see it.
He that came from our farm. It's a 100-year-old house, and he cut it in half, took the roof off, and moved it to town in 1959. Can you believe that? And we've been in business 60.
I remember your Grandpa Wolf.
I got it.
He was a character. Hold on, we're going to come back and talk about Grandpa Wolf.
I got pictures of him.
Yeah, there he is. He was a good old guy.
And
hold on, we're going to go to break, Mike. We're going to come back.
There's Paw Wolf with his overalls.
Yeah, stay there. Hold on, we'll go to break.
March.
Hey, Mike, enough about me. Look at this photo of you. And I guess that's probably about like 1996, 97. But yeah, I've known you since 1995. So look at Time the Avenger. Look at what me and Mike look like now. I'll tell you, that's about what we look like when we snuck in Bohemian Grove.
Oh, speaking of Bohemian Grove, look what I brought.
Oh, yeah, that's the shirt you wore in there.
The shirt I wore. I'm going to put this in the Alex Jones Museum when y'all make one.
Oh, give me a break. Mike, that's not going to happen.
You bought me some clothes to sneak in there as the billionaires.
That's right. Well, no, that was the idea of John Ronson. He goes, well, you guys look like, like you're wearing like sweatshirts and stuff. You got to dress preppy.
Yeah.
So we went, and that's right. You got that at Eddie Bauer. That's right.
And it's on secret. You can go to Mike Hanson Archives. I have that Secret Rulers of the World on the YouTube. I thought that was a great film.
Absolutely, and great YouTube channel. And I know you and Nate are busy, but if you'll put, like, when I protested the Klan, the guy said, I'll kill you. And then the cops had the rifles on us for no reason, and then it turned out the cops were with them. Remember, I was like, why are you doing that? The cops like, I'll knock your head in.
We have all that.
All that incredible stuff. I mean, it's like, I can't even remember all the stuff.
Well, I do.
Listen, let's talk about what happened in Florida. And then I want to get into your dad and the...
Well, I want to apologize for that Florida trip.
And the tower shooting. What was that?
Because I remembered that. I woke up in a sweat the other night. Remember, you had bought a $5,000 camera, and the whole time we were in Florida, I didn't have the sound on. Sorry about that, Alex.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Mike. Mike.
Thank God we had the other guy with us that had the sound.
Well, I had the cheap camera. But Mike, you got most of it.
Yeah.
Anyways, that shows how far we've come.
Apologize for
Listen, that was
mistakes I made.
Brooksville was in 2000. Tell people what that was like. When we're being chased by the dune
buggies.
Yeah, the dune buggies. Yeah. And then the guy jumps out, starts lighting the fire.
Well, the scary part about it is, we get there, somebody had canceled our reservations to the rent car, to the hotel room.
Then somebody broke in the hotel room.
This is what we had. And then just so happened a guy drove in from Texas and met us there.
And then we're like, no, we don't want your help. So then later, and then he jumps out of the bushes.
Yeah.
And he was like, look at a Navy SEAL. I mean, it was just like ridiculous.
Well, he was in the Army before.
I think it was the Navy.
And he showed up to Waco too when we rebuilt Waco. There's Alex when we.
Well, I got to know you're going to bring all this stuff.
Well, you told me you were going to go over old times.
Well, yeah. What is that, Waco Tribune Herald? Yeah, there I am.
And by the way, I go to the memorials every year, and this lady from Virginia, she started a museum, and she took an old black school in downtown Waco and remodeled it and made a Waco museum in there. But what she's missing is the rebuilding of the church. So I plan on all this stuff that I have, all the pictures of the rebuilding, I plan on donating that next year.
That's a good idea.
Where it will be, and I think that you need to start a museum for...
You're the one that always starts this stuff. You're the one with Joe Campana. We tried to fix his house, and they bulldozed it, so we built him a new house. And then it was and then I'm like, well, okay, we'll help you fix your leaky roof of your shack to have your memorial, and next you had us build the Davidians a new church. Yeah, here's Joe Campana, the veteran. And remember, they sent provocateurs in and tried to stop us doing that.
And that was that. You know, that was a city record without permits.
13 days building
a new house. I mean, from ground up.
Mike, enough. What do you think is the craziest thing we ever did? Remember we went to San Antonio and the Delta Force had done that drill? We were
sneaking into Bohemia Grove.
Remember when they pulled the gun on you because you wouldn't turn the video over? Remember that?
And then I screamed and hollered the whole time, I'm a veteran, you can't do this to me. Kicking and screaming. But they never did take us to jail. That was at Fort Sam Houston, wasn't it?
Was on the edge of it. Yeah, they came off the bay because we were videotaping the...
They blew out all the windows.
Yeah.
The Delta Force took a old hospital or something and blew it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did a lot of things. It's a wonder we're not in jail for the rest of our life for all the stuff that we
did a great job. You know, Steve Lane in Tennessee is teaching construction. He's a professor, and he's calling all the time and doing a great job. A little bird told me he's going to run for office.
Oh, well, I've ran for office 3 times.
Yeah, you talked me into it for about a week until I saw the rules.
I think you could have. Yeah, I think you could have won.
I'm glad I didn't do it.
Yeah,
Mike. This is much.
You couldn't do this then, and that's what we need you to
be a state rep up there wearing all this. But listen, let's talk about your dad. Now I knew your grandpa Wolf, but I never had a chance to meet your dad.
Where's the grandpa? Here's my grandpa Wolf.
Here, let's show Grandpa Wolf.
And he started a company in 1947, a rental business, and he died in 2003. So my wife and I bought the estate. And another couple, Jim and Joanna, bought a bunch of other property down there. I tried to talk to you into buying this property because let me tell you what's happened in the last 3 years, Alex.
I know, Mike, I don't invest.
I understand. But real estate's a very good investment because...
I don't have time to mess with it. I spend more money than I bring in now. You know that?
Gonzales,
pretty soon I'll be a pauper.
Gonzales is where the first shot of the Texas Independence War happened, and that's where the come and take it flag comes from.
That's where my family lived.
We were a very, very poor area for 50 years, but in the last 3 years, something happened. It's called the Eagle Shell Formation.
What's your earpiece in?
Gonzales. And we have 100 new millionaires in Gonzales, and we have 300 new millionaires in DeWitt County, which is the county over from us. So here's that article.
Yeah, Texas is now the biggest oil producer in the world.
And it's a 30-year deal. We are really booming down in Gonzales now, and I built a motel for the oil people, and it's really doing really good.
So you're a regular free market terrorist.
That's right.
Yeah, let's show the article here.
But when we bought the stuff, it was nearly worthless.
That's right.
Now, you know, we're booming. I mean, it's a boom town. You wouldn't believe. I mean, just truck after truck.
You're like Boss Hogg now.
No, they call me the slumlord of Gonzales, but that's not true. I have
no. You went and got buildings that were falling out nobody wanted. Yeah.
I have fixed this.
No, that's how it works. You build something and everybody's mad at you.
Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars have went in, and going to. We got code inspectors now. I've been fighting. I still fight, Alex. I'd fight the city council. They're in love with each other. They all vote the same way. Let me tell you, they tried to outlaw garage sales in Gonzales, Texas. I fought them and fought them and fought them, and now they said we can have 3 a year. But, and then they outlawed horses in town, in the city limits. We've had horses for 200 years in town. My wife has a horse.
It's the middle of the country. I've been,
yeah. And they tried to outlaw the horses in town. You got to get a permit now to have a horse in town. So, I mean,
I saw that in the newspaper when you were fighting that.
I'm in We Are Change in San Antonio. I love that group. I love the Peaceful Street Project. I'm still in that group. I'm doing all I can to fight, even though I have a business to run like you do.
Absolutely. You're doing a great job, Mike. Here, let me see the rest of the photos of Grandpa Wolf.
Oh, and that's my grandma. She died two.
Well, folks, you want to see the roots of things. Hey, Mike,
2001.
How ridiculous is it, without getting into names, because I don't even know what I'm talking about, just in general, when they say I'm secretly funded by the government,
it's not
and I'm secretly Bill Hicks.
Alex, what people don't know about Alex, he is such a funny guy.
I'm Bill Hicks, yeah.
Yeah, well, but...
No, seriously, what do you think when they say I'm like Mossad agent or Vatican? But you saw me from nowhere.
They call me from, if I wanted to out Alex, I could have done that a long time ago. I got major newspapers, major, what's that magazine that called me that?
What would you out me for? You mean if you wanted to make something up?
If I wanted to make something up, I would never do that because You come from a good family. I love your wife. Your mother and dad are great people. There's no way that I.
But plus, I'm good.
That's right.
I mean, is there anything?
You come from good stock.
Well, you do too, Mike.
But you know,
but I do turn into a vampire at night.
You know, people want me to go on radio shows about the Bohemian Grove in my book, and I had one the other day. It was a national show, and all they could try to do was try to talk bad, try to get me to say something bad about Alex Jones. And I told that lady it ain't going to happen. And I told her exactly the way it was, that you were a good guy.
Well, without defending from the lies, you've seen them firsthand.
And they call me from these magazines trying to get me to say stuff. I just hang the phone up because, you know, they can take anything you say and chop it up. And it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, but I sit around.
I look on the internet, and there's not going to be one word of me saying anything bad.
No, I know, but I mean, have you ever seen anything out there that was true is what I'm saying.
No. I mean, you make mistakes just like the rest of us. You're a human being, but that's what we want to see. We want to see you making mistakes.
Here's something else. Here, let's look at some of these old Texan photos here. There's your grandpa. And when did he die?
2003.
Now here. Go ahead.
No, my grandma died in 2001. He died in 2003. He started the business in 2000. He had a farm, believe it or not. I could have bought all of Cheapside for about $250,000. That's where this oil boom's going on. It's just south of Gonzales. Now it's worth about $250 billion. So, I mean, this is the kind of opportunity that's going on down in Gonzales.
I remember you tried to get me, even before your grandpa.
I tried to get
me to buy
that because I wanted to make it where patriots could go and have.
You're like my lucky charm. I should have listened to you.
But you know, I do have some investors, Jim and Joanna, that they're listeners of yours that did invest in Gonzales and bought some of my grandpa's property because I didn't buy the whole estate. I just bought a part of the estate, and they bought some other houses, and those houses went up a lot in value now. And now we got oil people there that have nowhere to go. We got hundreds of people coming into town and nowhere to rent.
Again, folks, he is the real Barney Fife in the flesh, the good Barney Fife. We love that show, don't we, Mike?
Yeah, I do. I like all those shows.
Oh, you're something else.
It's like what we'd want America to be.
All right, now listen, I want to get to some other issues here and take some calls, but Mike, let's talk about your dad here. We got a photo of him back when the UT Tower shooter was going on.
Before we had SWAT teams.
Yeah, your dad saved a bunch of people. Let's show this photo right here of Mike's dad, the famous ambulance driver.
That was in 1966. I'm not exactly, what was it, the 16th or something? I
don't know, but you got the paper with your dad in it right there. Let me see that.
And I saw this at a state sale.
That's it.
Cost me $30, those papers. But those are hard to get a hold of now. And there's one, Nate, you got the other one out there, I guess.
That's the Austin American. Yep. And then it's the day of death. And then your dad's in here. And then I've interviewed that guy. He's a Texas Ranger now, or retired Texas Ranger. The patrolman, Ramiro Martinez. Yeah. He's been on the show. Nice guy.
Look how young he was, though. And he said if it wouldn't be for the citizens that kept with their rifles shooting at him, that they wouldn't have.
Can you imagine if citizens, if there was a shooter, were shooting? The cops would probably shoot them nowadays.
That's right.
I'm telling you, well, this country is screwed up. Turned out this guy had a giant brain tumor, the Marine.
Mm-hmm.
He was just out of his mind. Everyone loved him. I forget who it was in my family here in Austin knew him, too. They said it was, anyways. Mike, it's really fun having you here. I just wanted to get you on to talk about some of the, getting back to Brooksville, because that's what made me think to get you on the show. And I've invited you up, but you never seem to come to Austin anymore to take you out to dinner.
Well, because I'm
too busy.
I'm in Gonzales now.
You're boss hog.
Once you go to Gonzales, you don't leave. Once you go to God's country, you don't leave. And, you know, if some of your people out there, I'm not talking about me in general. If you're looking for investment, you need to go to South Texas because that's where the boom's going on. And it's still ripe for picking down there in South Texas.
Here you go, Mr. Businessman.
Well, that's what it's all about.
Can I come down there and be Roscoe Pico trained?
Alex, you're welcome anytime. And when your wife and your kids come through, I'll give you a free hotel room, too. Oh, and guess what? I have the bed that Elvis slept in when he came to Gonzales, and the bed that the bed. I wish somebody'd go out to my car and get the picture of it, of the motel. And I have the when Bonnie and Clyde came through town, I have the bed that they slept in too at my motel.
And what's the name of the motel, Hanson?
The Wolf Motel. It's named after my grandpa.
It's the Wolf's Lair, huh?
He built them as apartments, and then I built another building as the main part. It's like a country motel, and it's themed as, come and take.
All right, now let's get back to the New World Order. Boy, they sure tried to keep us from getting the word out. But now, imagine where the Liberty Movement started, decades ago. But imagine where it is now. Are people don't laugh at you anymore when you talk about the New World Order, do they, Mike?
I know they were listening to your phone calls because they cancel. This is the type of stuff they do. They would cancel our reservations to our rent car. We get there and there'd be no rent car for us. They'd cancel the reservation to the hotel. There'd be no hotel reservations. That'd be kind of when we'd fly over there. And by the way, I have not flown since 911, and I won't. So that's one thing. I drive everywhere.
Are you going to visit anybody else while you're here in Austin today?
No, I'm going straight back. Go right back to business.
You're a piece of work, man.
Well, maybe my mother. That's the kind of stuff. She paid $23,000 for her house in Travis Heights in 1972. And they knock on her door every day trying to buy it for $700,000. That's what the real estate market's doing here in in Austin. She lives in Travis Heights.
Mike, you're like a machine now. All you talk about is like money, 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 money. You're like Tony Montana.
It's just fun. It's just, let me tell you.
Oh, it's fun to be successful? Huh?
Let me tell you how to beat the New World Order. I'll tell y'all how to beat the New World. To
become successful.
Be successful and live a good life. Texas Lil told me that. You remember Texas Lil?
No, that's an old French saying. The best revenge, living well.
Yeah.
I agree.
And we have a travel trailer. We travel. We love it. How's Melissa doing? We travel. And we love it. We go to the coast.
How many horses?
We're going to the coast for a week next week. With our travel trailer. We love our travel trailer. I never thought that I would like a travel trailer, but I do.
Mike, you are a piece of work. I miss you. I'm so glad you're here.
Well, we miss you too, Alex, and we miss your wife.
I almost came down to Gonzales for the reenactment and all that.
Oh,
and I just ran out of time.
Come and take it. I think it's the first weekend of October.
Yeah, for those that don't know, tell folks, that's where the come and take it thing comes from.
That's the first shot before they went to the Alamo. They fired a shot over the Texas.
No, I know. They came on my mom's side of the family. I had family live there. It was in it.
They come to disarm us in Gonzales, and somebody wrote on a wedding dress with a cannon, "Come and take it," and put it up, and they fired a shot over the Mexican army, and that's when they went to San Antonio and later and killed everybody and lost. Then they sent Susanna Dickerson back with a black slave to tell Travis that we're coming for y'all next. And so he burnt Gonzales down. Gonzales has been burnt down twice, and once by Travis. And then they went under the oak tree about 14 miles from Gonzales and all got together and then went down to San Jacinto and won.
I know, yeah.
Gonzales is very historical.
Believe me, I know.
And we have been Gonzales has not grown one bit for the last 50 years until we have this oil boom. That's why we're so excited about it.
I know. It was like.
Or we have.
It's like Mayberry. Stay there. Stay there. Stay there. Stay there. Mike, we're back on air here. You're so funny. Yeah, that's a good photo right there. Me and Mike are marveling on how fat we've both gotten. No, you look good. I've got a little bit of fat.
Okay, I'm going to lose 50 pounds just because you said that.
No, I've gotten a little chip. No, you're saying, here, folks, for watching on TV, look at this photo right here. Can we document cam on this? Look, I guess Time the Great Avenger. Here, I'll just put it over here. There you go.
You have just found a bullet there. We were digging at Waco, and you found some kind of bullet there.
And we also found the type of burning tear gas rounds they lied.
That's what it was.
Lied in Congress, said that they didn't have. And again, this book is available at InfoWarsStore.com. It's Bohemian Grove, Cult of Conspiracy, Mike Hanson, forward by Tex Mars. And it is the definitive book on the whole Bohemian Grove and so much more. And you support Mike, and you also support us.
And I'd like to say this, Alex. There is so much on the internet and out there, and people call me up and say that you made this whole thing up about Bohemian Grove. I cannot believe anybody'd be that naive. That you didn't go in there. There's...
Well, they either say we didn't go in there or they let us in.
Yeah, well, that's not true.
And then they say, well, why isn't there footage of all of it? We'd have to start the little hidden camera and then put, well, you know, we're going to do some overdrive and take calls, but tell folks what going into Bohemian Grove was really like. For those that don't know, it's like the real Eyes Wide Shut.
Well, it was scary as hell. If you wouldn't ask me to do it, I wouldn't have done it. But it's scary. I mean, we could have ended up in jail for a very long time.
Well, they've arrested everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
Why did we make it in and out? Why?
I seen you on TV not too long ago trying to get in there again. Y'all didn't even make it up the hill.
No, that's true.
I seen you paddling away.
Yeah, I didn't stop. They all
good. I said, "Go, Alex, go! Get out of there."
It was a lot worse. They the lawyers made them all cut out what really went on.
I
signed a non-disclosure, so I can't tell what else happened.
But I mean, I seen that you just didn't really see anything.
Well, yeah, because the police got all the footage.
But I think they probably have sensors and everything else way beyond what they had when we were there.
Well, there's no think about it.
Yeah.
The place they used, a theater, to shoot the interviews, they had a bartender that was serving us lunch and stuff, you know, during the taping interviews. And he goes, you know, I actually work there. I hang out with George H.W. Bush, and I don't appreciate what you're saying about them. And I went, what? I'm just saying that weird stuff goes on in here. And he goes, well, I'm not going to call him and tell him you're coming. And I went and told him, I said, that guy's ratting us out. And they're like, no, he wouldn't do that. They were so naive, and they were waiting when we got there. And so I said, I'm not going in there. I said, I'm going to come right up to the edge, and I watched the cops run down and grab them. And then they told me to stop. I was on the water line. I know the state and federal law. I just ran off. So,
well, you know, they just recently opened up the LBJ Ranch where you can go into the house and stuff. So my daughter just got married out there last month. So we went into the LBJ Ranch. They had this big, from the 60s, they had this big radar where infrared where they could see if anybody was coming from. That was back in the 60s, Alex. So you can imagine what they have now. The Secret Service had it on top of their building, and they would look through the whole ranch and see if anything was moving in the dark. That was in the 60s. So you can imagine what they have now.
I know.
I have no idea. It was just when I tell people on the, you know, when people ask me to come on the radio once in a while, they'll ask me to come on about the book. I said, I think it was just, you know, God that got us in there, because I don't see how else we could have got in there and got out of there.
Well, also, we did get questioned by the Secret Service and the sheriffs.
Many times.
Describe what's not on the footage.
Many times. It's all in the book. See, that's why I wanted to write the book, because my memory fades, you know, over the years.
Yeah, you wrote it right a few years after.
Well, yeah, it took 3 or 4 years to write the book and to put it together and to pay people to put it together, because, you know, I don't think I'm qualified to put a book that size together, but it cost about $10,000 to put that book together.
No, it's ghostwritten, but it's your words.
Yeah, everything's in your words.
Yeah, I was interviewed. Yeah,
Alex does a good job in there describing.
They can also get the DVD Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove with the bonus film Order of Death, all in the same DVD at InfoWarsStore.com, and your purchase supports us. We're going to come back with a third or fourth hour and your phone call. Stay with us. All right, folks, my old friend and a guy that, I don't know, I've been at Access TV about a year. I'd go on his show. I'd go on Jeff Davis's show. And I would, you know, work on things with him. And then he started helping me film stuff and run the TV show, and then help me do stuff with the radio show. And then he actually worked and helped oversee the shipping department with myself, Mike, and my wife. Yeah, in the dining room, and my dad would come over sometimes and help. No, he would help us hook up the order line computer. But Mike, you're awesome, and I'm so glad to see your American dream just continue to come true, and your great kids growing up. We got people holding here. We've been all over the map, but then we will go back to Bohemian Grove. But I mean, yeah, they had the sheriffs come over, and it was the sheriff. And he questioned us, and we said, oh, we're part of the Hillbilly Club. Yeah. And then we had the Secret Service come over, and we would just be calm.
And then we ended up in I don't know what it was, a gay dance or something. I don't know what it was. we ended up in this room, and this guy runs up and asked Alex, who are you? And Alex had just reamed me out about, you better not forget your name and this and that. He gave my fake name. He gave my fake name. Yeah, you did.
Well, see, we didn't
remember that, and it's even on tape.
So we didn't show a lot of the footage because yeah, we go in there and it's all these guys like dancing around together.
Yeah. It's all men.
I forgot about that one. That's good.
And can I thank my wife of 30 years, because she really had to put up with all this stuff for 14 years, you know, because I wasn't really around.
I want to thank my wife.
Yeah.
The incredible beauty and the
beautiful. You married a beauty.
And the intellect.
Yeah.
She's so sweet.
And she was smart.
She was super sweet to me this morning.
That's who, you know, got that website going as good as it did with all the, you know, because it really started out to be nothing.
Well, she's really the brains behind the whole operation.
Yeah. So is my wife.
Mrs. Spacely.
She does it all. When we have to kick people out, she has to go to court and all that kind of stuff. So she's
no, it's good. Yeah, but hey, man's got to have a good woman beside him.
Yeah. She's
I want to see your kids.
But I want to thank her, because I've never publicly thanked my wife. I love her so much that she stood by us for those 14 years when I worked for you, and I was gone all the time. I was always doing something.
Also, I want to thank my wife.
That's right. We love our wives.
There we go.
Yeah. 30 years. 30 years. I married her in 1984. Yeah. No, 84, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen your kids, though, in probably 5 years.
They're grown. I have a 5-year-old grandson now. You know, I'm raising him. He's my little Latino child.
That's because you're a racist?
I wish I could have had a little Latino grandson when I ran for office here in South Austin. I could have used him like, you know, Gomez. You know, I was running against a Hispanic woman, an incumbent, and it was very hard, you know, and I had a last name of Hanson, and, you know, South Austin's 60% Hispanic. So I was an uphill battle there.
But, hey, running for office, you educated a lot of people.
That's what I tried to do, because you had said to do it, so I did it.
We were fighting the police state. Remember the abstinent assistant program where your kid would miss one day, they'd try to arrest him, and the penal code didn't even say it was. That's not truancy, missing once.
And they come out and search your house when you miss one day
without a warrant.
Yeah, and so we put a stop to that for a while. I heard they brought it all back again.
Yeah, why don't other people fight things? Why do we have to fight everything?
Well, I think there's people down there now. You know what? I'll tell you a good story, Alex. You know, my wife used to work at the Travis County. I met this woman at my daughter's wedding that says that they all believe, you know, because we used to go down there almost every Tuesday, and now all those people that work there believe everything you say. You know, everything that you said when you went in there, they know is true now. So they're all.
Oh yeah, Elshire. We went to the former county judge. We went to his house. He's a listener and now is awake.
So they
remember Elshire.
They know what you were saying back then is true now, and they're all listeners.
Hold on, we're going to be right back with your phone calls. I promise. I promise. We're going to Huge Whistle. That doesn't sound too nice. And other people.
Who's that?
I don't know. It's one of the callers up there. All right. It's Friends with Kate up there. Mike, I really should have gotten you in here to tell the story about your dad being one of the heroes, driving him while his vehicle got shot up, getting people off the street and saving them whenever they had the tower shooting back in 1966. What was that, on August 1st?
Yeah, I think it was. Is that what it says?
Yeah, well, it's August 2nd was the Austin American Statesman, but it says yesterday it happened. So, yeah, a bloodbath gushed over Austin and the University of Texas Monday, leaving 15 persons dead and 31 others wounded at the hands of a lone gunman who made a arsenal fortress of the university tower. The 90-minute mass slaughter that brought this city to its knees ended only when the city police officers gunned down Charles Joseph Whitman, a 25-year-old student. Besides himself, Whitman's carnage left dead his wife, his mother, and 13 persons on the campus. I'm trying to remember, who is it knew him? Was it my uncle knew him? Or was it my grandfather?
He lived right over by where your parents do. Not a couple blocks from where your parents live.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm you know, memory, as soon as the show's over, I'll remember who it was he knew in my family.
Alex, nobody has a memory like you.
Oh, no, I had a lady on yesterday who's got one of...
Oh, yeah. That
Mary Lou Henner 1,000 times better.
Remember where she was 5 days ago or something.
Well, me and my dad were talking about that last night. If I sit and think about even a day, like a year ago, I can, like, go back and find it. But it's like finding it in a filing cabinet. With her, it's like, bam, she just knows right where it's at. But there was some kind of inside thing with it. I forget. It's really weird. It's like my grandma knew LBJ's hitman.
Is your grandparents still living?
My grandmother, yeah. All the rest are dead.
Oh, they were so nice.
Yeah, yeah.
And when they tried to find him for...
Yeah. Yeah, they
all that in the back.
Well, yeah, they told him they had to clean out the creek behind her house. And my grandmother looked at the plats and stuff and said, well, I already paid drainage fees. That creek's not my property. And so they started giving him the $1,000 a day fines. And I said, let me fight it for you. And he goes, no, I'll fight it. And then he was like almost 80 years old. He climbed over. She's like 90 now, or about to be 90. He climbed over, did it all, had a heart attack, and then was in the hospital, heart surgery, then had a stroke, and then died a year later. Basically, the city of Austin killed my grandfather.
Yeah.
Because he just, well, I'm not going to sue him. Like a slave, he climbed back in the creek, and with a handsaw, should have just told me to do it, or I said, hire a company. He chopped up all these trees and stuff that weren't even ours in a creek. Of course, that's Austin's scam. They just send old people.
Like they did Mr. Capana. They basically
Roland Ellingson. Whatever happened to him?
I went over to the house, where we did that interview's up on Mike Hanson Archives.
Yeah,
it
was a bunch of them though.
$2,000 fines for 8-inch grass or something.
3-inch grass, yeah.
And that interview's up there, and I went over to the house where he lived, and some Chinese lady answered the door, a yuppie kind of, it's all turned yuppie land.
And they were giving him fines, admitting we want your house.
And then Chris Ritter told me that he died a couple years ago of cancer, so I think he's gone too.
Yeah, he was fighting colon cancer.
Joe Capana's gone too.
Yeah, he died.
And our great engineer that helped us on all these projects,
George Pullian,
he's dead, and then the carpenter helped us too. God, my memory. What is his name?
A lot of carpenters.
Well, the carpenter just died. God, I can't remember offhand. What is his name?
But all this was while we were getting orders from the Vatican.
Yeah.
We were ordered to do all this by the...
Yeah, well, Alex, I know that none of that stuff is true that's on the internet. I mean, people can just make up anything and put it on the internet now. That's the problem. You don't know what to believe, but I'm telling you that I've been with you 18 years ago when you started, and you are a good person.
I know that, Mike. Listen, they do that for jealousy, but also to change the subject. Some of it's COINTELPRO, government, Cass Sunstein, cognitive dissonance stuff. But my only issue is knowing me from day one at Access Television when I was in the control room by myself. I mean, it's just people are like, where'd he come from? He just showed up on the scene.
He was in the cable cast just sitting there.
Yeah, but I'm the opposite of coming from nowhere. Everybody knows who I am. They've gone to Rockwall.
Bob Hooper is his name.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know Bob Hooper?
Yeah.
The one that had the white...
He died?
Yeah, he died around the same time that Pulliam died.
Oh, he was a nice guy.
Yeah.
He was from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
No, but expanding on that,
he was an expert.
They've gone and gotten my high school yearbooks at Anderson and at Rockwall, trying to prove I'm not who I say I am. And then when they find the proof, then they say that person's a fake.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a nice thing. I can't find my
but there are
annuals.
Other Alex Jones out there they mix you up with sometime.
Oh, that's how I got. That's how they started saying I was a Vatican assassin. Another thing is Catholics think they're great people, and
well, just because you go speak at a Catholic school for your sister does not mean that.
Yeah, college. Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
No, but the whole point, that's where she got a scholarship. But separate from that, I'm saying Catholics are great people. The whole point is that there was a famous black guy named Alex Jones who's some Catholic evangelist. And I got a call. They go, say you didn't write this book. This is about 10 years ago. And I said, I didn't write that book. I haven't written a book about Catholic stuff. I'm not Catholic. And they go, well, you will have us on to denounce the Catholics, or we will expose you as one. And I said, what's this book? And I go and look it up. It's a black guy, like 70 years old. And I call the guy up and I go, is this a joke? And he goes, no, I'm going to expose you. And that's where that all comes from, because there's a black guy named Alex Jones.
Well, when you're in your position and as big as you are, I mean, there's going to be people out here that, just a couple years ago, we had some provocateurs try to extort money out of we had business and you too. And
don't even tell it.
I won't tell.
Talking about bank robbers.
But I never did go public with this. But I'm just saying that there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that people don't know what happens to us. I mean,
Mike, don't tell that.
The back blow off of you is even gets to me a lot, even to this day.
I know.
So, they tried to extort money out of you, myself.
I told them go to hell. It was just made up stuff. But that's the thing.
I went to court 4 times and won.
That's right.
So,
I know, it's crazy.
I won't put up with people. I will help people as much as I can.
But no, but now it's important, though.
I'm not putting up with.
But we ended up sending the one guy to jail, though.
Yeah,
because I mean, the whole issue.
Texas Rangers got.
Yeah. Well, but don't tell people this stuff. Okay.
I'm trying.
The whole point is, you mess with me, I'm going to get you.
But you were talking the other day on your radio about how things things happen to you, and they listen to your call. I think they listen. Sometimes they even listen to our calls, and then they feed our wife bad information, and then they get mad at us. They do that.
Oh, well, that happens all the time. The woman calls up and goes, "Hi, I'm calling for Alex." Well, who's this? Oh, this is his fiance. I'm pregnant.
Yeah,
and that's happened a lot. That's standard procedure.
But I mean, it don't happen to me. I don't go on the radio as much as you do and stuff. I can imagine what you go through. Just what I have to go through, just from people calling me up trying to get me to say something bad about you. It's just not going to happen. That one famous...
no more gossip. I didn't get you on here about that. I got you on here about your book, Bohemian Grove, Cult of Conspiracy. Let's go ahead and go to the next person. Let's go to Huge Whistle. Thanks for holding, Huge Whistle. You're on the air.
Whistleblower?
I guess.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Whistleblower, that's what it...
put your earpiece in, Hanson.
Oh.
Show him how, folks.
Okay, well,
he's too busy.
Y'all have so much...
He's too busy driving big black Cadillacs.
I have a black truck now.
I know. I'm joking around. It's Boss Hog. Yeah. You're on the air with Boss Hog. Go ahead. You're a good Boss Hog.
Yeah, I met somebody that his grandfather went to Bohemian Grove every year. So if people want to say that's not real, then, But that's not really what I called up about. I called up about Flight 214. If you just count the windows from the front door on the still picture where they show the people getting off the plane, there are 6 windows. As you count 6 windows, look straight down where it says Asiana Airlines, and you'll be right above the eye. If you look at the footage of the first responders, you'll count 7 windows, and you'll be above the eye.
What are you saying? That it's not real? I mean, amateurs shot video.
It's not the same. It's not the same plane. There's 2 different planes there. The grass is like 3 feet high when the people are getting off that plane. There are yellow tags under the doors on the video footage. That's the first responder footage. There are no yellow.
Well, I'm going to say this. I think the Boston bombing happened, but it was staged, clearly. But people were probably hurt. Same thing with Sandy Hook, because they'll kill real people. But you look at the spokespeople, they're clearly acting. There's some fake stuff. And I saw some people with all their clothes blown off with no damage to their skin, but shrapnel holes. And you can see they're actors. And they did that on 7/7. But because I was there days after it happened, I flew to England. And what happens is they blew up real people, but then they have fake people to then be the celebrity victims who are inserted. I'm telling you, they do it. And that came out in Operation Northwoods, that they would stage planes crashing and have actors and stuff. So that's a real thing they do. Mike, your take on all that?
Well, I just listened to you, Alex. I mean...
oh, man, I tell you, Mike Hanson.
I think this last deal they pulled is just trying to divide us, divide the people. I heard you come on when I was coming in today about the
Trayvon Martin garbage.
That's just to divide and conquer, and you've always said that, divide and conquer, and that's what they're trying to do. So I think the media is like that. They just
Barney Fife meets Han Solo meets Boss Hog.
What's that about?
That's you.
You're the Lord, though. Lord Alex.
Oh, and I call the police Lord this, Lord that. Oh boy!
Well, I've worked very hard for the last couple of years to build up what we have down there, and to have somebody come in to try to extort money off you and us, and it's just not going to happen.
What about when Obama says you didn't build that?
No, my grandpa built it.
No, but you've maintained it and expanded it. Remember Obama making the comment about you didn't build that?
They want to talk about people that they want to do recycling and everything. My grandpa tore down he went to the dump ground when I was growing up and got lumber and tore down old houses and built all this business up from the ground up. So
you mean Obama didn't build it?
No, Obama didn't do it. He did us. My grandpa was so cheap when we were growing up. He would slam the brake on for a aluminum can on the highway and almost throw us through the window.
Hold on, we're going to skip this break. We're going to skip this break. Hold on. Final segment. Good job, guys. Thank you. Huge whistle. You're blowing a huge whistle here. What are you getting at, sir?
Well, it's just like your other guest you had on, Anthony. Wasn't he referencing Allie Stevenson, the UM coach that was talking about the bomb drills?
Yes.
Okay, well, when I saw the picture of that guy, because they showed a still frame of him when he's on the phone talking to the media about it, I'm like, this guy looks familiar. If you look at the picture of the Richards family, look at the dad. And you never get to hear an actual live interview from that Richards family. It's always statements.
God bless you. We'll look into it. You know, I'll tell you this. When they can go to somebody's house and shoot the suspect in the top of the head and then say nobody can see the autopsy, and then it turned out the FBI wasn't injured, they didn't, and then two FBI guys that were involved in the arrest of Zohar end up dying, and then some of our associates, well, it's Holland van den Nieuwenhof, one of his best friends, was one of the SWAT team guys in on that. And now he's been told don't talk to him. And then Rob Dew's brother-in-law is on the Army marathon team, and minutes before gets pulled out and told, you're dehydrated. He's like, no, I'm not. You're going to the hospital, so he wouldn't be bombed, I guess. And then you add the drill, and you add the cover-up, and you add the Tamerlan, the older brother, being part of the CIA. That's on record. He was sent overseas under aliases. I mean, this is definitely a staged event.
Well, I think you were right, what you've always said, stay public. That's why you stayed alive so long, because you're public. And the first thing you did when we snuck into Bohemia Grove is get that video out to everybody. That's the first thing you did. Remember that?
But remember 3 times they got into the mail and were erasing the tapes we were sending to the.
You sent it out to everybody.
Absolutely.
You sent it out to everybody on the internet. And the internet wasn't like it is now then, you know, that's 13 years ago, but it was good enough to get it out there, and you got it out there quick to everybody, and that's why I think they didn't kill you.
Well, we got death threats over that, and 3 times they copied the tape there. They're expert people, camera to camera, checked it was good. They mailed it erased. They said, you mind mailing this to World of Wonder in L.A., the production company? Again, make the copy, mail, and they go, that's a blank tape. And I said, so I sent it again, wiped it again. And then finally, we sent it to England, wiped again. And then I used somebody that worked with us, their address, to mail it to a crew member of World of Wonder, and they got it at their house. So they were getting in the mail to get that. They were not happy about that.
I'm glad you got it out there when you did, because I think they could have wiped us all out before we got out of California, but we got out of there. We went to San Francisco.
Sure. I mean, we did put like a 2-minute clip up just to show it happened, but they did not want the full footage. What they didn't want was the faces. Yeah. But I'm not stupid. I'm not gonna show the faces of the men dancing together or whatever.
Well, it was hard to see the faces because of where we had.
Well, I do have footage somewhere around here. I mean, because it was hour-long tapes, but I could only reload twice. I had to get it out of the hidden bag.
Well, I had to reload in the bathroom. Remember?
Absolutely. And I sent you in there because
they kept saying, "What's he doing in the bathroom?" So I couldn't figure out that little tape was hard to put in there.
Yeah, there was a hidden camera.
And we were up in the woods.
Absolutely.
At the camps.
Absolutely. Well, then I said, we've been questioned twice. No, 3 times. I said, let's go hide, and we were able to do it. And by the way,
they were all at dinner. They were all at dinner.
And by the way, then Danny Glover walks by as it's almost dark. You want to hear about racism?
Yeah, I remember.
And don't say the N-word.
Yeah.
And they go, and all these old men are going, what's that? Because I think the average age was like 80. I mean, these people are. That's what's really gross about it, these old men dancing around together. The point is, I mean, sorry, it's gross, folks. Hugh Hefner with a woman's gross. It's just disgusting. The point is that they're going, what's that doing here? And I mean, that's all I heard was, I was like, what the? So I guess that's who you'd expect that from. But
that's when they were all having dinner at the dining hall. We didn't have a place to sit, so we had to get out of there.
Yeah, but just 13 years later, all those guys are dead. And I'm told now there's a bunch of black people there. But that was like the old guard.
Yeah.
What do you think the average age was there? Like 80?
There was no young people. We were the youngest, I think.
Well, that's why the greens workers were whistling at us.
How old was you 13 years ago, Alex?
I was, I don't know, but I mean, we both looked like, handsome. So that's why, remember, were we being whistled at by the Greens people?
I'll be 50 this month.
I'll be 40 here real quick.
Yeah,
but I mean,
once you get to 40,
we figured out why we were able to get there. Do you remember the old men whistling at us?
Oh, yeah.
And describe that.
But in the book, I say I took advantage of that because, I wanted to be protected. I didn't want to be caught. So we took advantage of that from the very start to get on the bus, the OWL bus.
Yeah, but we didn't like take advantage of it like
no, but if you look at the guards, how they looked at us, they thought we were prostitutes for these.
No, we figured that out. Yeah.
Go back and look at the tape and look at that guy, the way he looks.
Oh, I know.
I mean, it's like disgusting. You know? Yeah.
It's like they were all a bunch of Pepe Le Pews.
But, you know, when I do a couple interviews once in a while, a couple of times a year on the Bohemian Grove, and I always tell people, don't try to get in there because I don't want to see anybody go to jail. I don't think you could do it again. I think it'd be too hard to do again. Humphrey tried to do it.
One reporter got Mark Dice and myself, a guy I met a few times. He went, worked there, shot footage, got it out. They set him up, and I saw the court case. They sent me copies. It was in the news. They got him saying that he was like a child molester, and then in the court it was that a neighbor kid had seen him in his underwear across the apartment hall, and that he tried to show kids a child sacrifice, and the footage was him handing out the DVD of Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove, and they got a jury to convict him for that. So look, that's what they want to do to people.
How much time did those people that you tried to sneak in with last time get? Did they get any time out of that, or did they get in trouble for it?
No, they agreed to shut up and to give the footage over. I mean, all they did was go in, and then I said, look, I'm telling you, they're waiting on us. I'm not doing it. And I was waiting down there at the gorge. I wasn't going to go past the water line. And then here come the security guards with police. And they're like, you stop. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I've done nothing. So I went and jumped in the water and swam down and then got to our boats and left.
Yeah, I saw you paddling.
And then the cops were looking for me, too, there. So then I swam over and then called Aaron Dykes was there, had him pull the Suburban we had rented over. I think it was Aaron I took with me. It all blurs, man. I'm telling you. Let's go to a phone call here. This is an insane interview today. Hanson. Constitutional terrorist, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Thanks for having me, Alex. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, brother.
I just want to tell everybody that's listening that I am alive, and I'm going to scream right now. Yeah!
Yeah!
Baby. Thank you. Alex, you woke me up. I'm glad. This has been a great show today. A little lighter than usual, not as much yelling and not as much intensity, but still chock full of information. I need to talk to all the listeners. I want everybody to know we are the resistance. You need to go out to your people, to your community, and you need to speak to people and let them know that you're alive. I get choked up talking about this because I understand the depth of what's going on. I see it. Other people see it, but they cower. You know, you need to stand up, you need to shake your fist, and you need to be defiant against someone that wants to oppress you. Every time. You need to say no, or else your silence is your consent.
No, you're absolutely right. God bless you, and I appreciate your call. Let's go to another caller here. Mike, you want to say something?
Yeah, my wife's grandma is 94 years old. We just got her down to Gonzales in a nursing home, and I go out there to visit her and stuff, and I see all these old people laying around, and you got to do what you can before you end up in that place because they got them all drugged up in there, and nobody knows anything. I think that you need to fight where you can, work where you can, and live a good life. That's what I'm doing. I've been doing that for a couple of years.
Absolutely. You know, I was thinking about Bohemian Grove. While we were there 5 hours, a couple of it just hiding out in the woods behind a cabin because they kept questioning us, and I didn't want to try our luck. It'd be like snapshots. Guys would walk by going, we got a great deal transferring those nuclear reactors. I'm telling you, the such and such, and then they'd walk off. Or that they were all going to the Owl to watch the ritual, big throngs of men, and like Danny Glover. They go, that's that Glover. What the he doing here? I mean, it was like snapshots of the weirdness. Or we go into one camp, because we need to use the bathroom. There's like 100 guys drinking wine, dancing together. I mean, it was just bizarre.
But being up to that Owl, you really can't tell what it is when you're up there. But remember the altar? They had the real altar up there where they sacrifice.
Yeah, absolutely.
In effigy or if it's real.
Look, I apologize to Mike, Robert, and Melissa. You can call in tomorrow. I got to go to retransmission now. We've done 3.5 hours. Mike, it is so good seeing you, man.
Alex, great to see you again, and tell your lovely family I said hi.
Yeah, and I wasn't even thinking of this. A lot of the tapes of the show and stuff, or when the police and the Klan threatened to kill us. I think we need to get tapes like that.
Get it all.
Well, what? I just saw you guys put it up on your Mike Hanson channel.
It's just in a big...
I know. Well, listen, I'm going to send the guys down to get it, and then we'll copy it and give it back to you. But great job to the crew today. Great job to everybody. And said that it's illegal and it's wrong and that they're targeting non-terrorists, the general public. His crime is his credibility as a network administrator over very high-level stuff. Because even if you're not, somebody that's been working there for years, when you've got the know-how they need, you're over the infrastructure. You're the mole, the ghost in the system. And so this is about intimidating their own minions. That's what this whole situation is about. So we're going to be getting into that. Old news for our audience, new news for the general public. Financial Times of London. We have good cause to abhor the surveillance state. And then they go into talking about how every case it's been done in history, it results in absolute tyranny and nightmare despotism. Oh yeah, most of the people that are filthy rich right now and help bring this system in are going to be robbed by the tyranny they set up. Only madmen get rid of the checks and the balances. Continuing, do you know where you'll be in 285 days from now at 2 p.m.? Microsoft and Google do. This is out of fastcompany.com. Again, I told you about this. 1999 is when I learned about it. And then they were bragging about it in MIT publications by 2005. And I've told you that by 2006, they had 93% accuracy on where you're going to eat dinner tomorrow night, even before you knew, and even higher accuracy with mass movements. Now it's even worse. So there's that article. Privacy groups led by Electronic Frontier Foundation sue to stop NSA and FBI electronic surveillance, pointing out it's illegal. Well, it's secret arrest and torture is illegal. Saying the Tea Party is terrorist is illegal. Having the IRS tell churches what they can pray is illegal. And telling pro-lifers they can't demonstrate against abortions. This has been recorded. This has been in the news. That's illegal. But tell that to Adolf Hitler. Tell that to Julius Caesar. Tell that to Pol Pot. Tell that to Mao Zedong. Tell that to Kim Jong-un and Kim Jong-il and his daddy before him. They got the guns, you don't, you're a slave. That's why the globalists want our guns. That's why bipartisan they want our guns. That's why they're connecting gun ownership on CNN and MSNBC and Fox Sports to racism so that they can culturally get the minorities that are really the majority, and they're going to be a super majority within about a decade to think, I want to ban the guns. It's my civil right to have my guns taken. It's my civil right to kill my baby. It's my civil right to have free fluoride put in my water. It's my civil right. This is loving your servitude. This is how they bind it to that. If you don't let unlimited foreigners come in and be given government welfare as a stipend to help supplant jobs and drive down wages, you're a racist. If you don't like the health care bill written by insurance companies to not give pre-existing care, make poor people buy the care, have giant taxes on everybody's payroll, rip everybody off, but the mega rich that are exempt and Congress who's exempt, you're a racist. Yeah, everybody's been looking at their paycheck with that Obamacare money getting peeled off the top. yeah. He's going to give you something free because he's a black man and he loves that. Out of Camp Mabry, Austin, Texas, was because they're like, wow, this is crazy. Yes, this is authoritarianism. All of it. All of it you see is authoritarianism pointed at the American people. And the only way the globalists can win is playing us off against each other. So when I come back, I'm first going to get into the latest, now 4+ days into the verdict. And I've got stacks of news articles here where Hollywood hit by roaming band of robbers, police say. No connection to the Zimmerman, Trayvon Martin verdict. That's what the LA Times says. That'd be like if the sun came up and warmed the plants and made the plants grow, and they said it has no effect on the plant. I guess the UN already actually voted and said that the sun doesn't affect climate. So I guess it's true. The sun doesn't warm my skin, doesn't give me a sunburn, doesn't make the plants grow, doesn't make the water turn into vapor and then go up and form clouds because the UN said so. So I try to make satirical jokes, and then it's not satire. It's already happening. So all over the place, there are groups of black teens mainly with meth head type drooling anarchist, so-called anarchist, in tow with them, beating people up, going into Walmarts, robbing people. This is a phenomenon all over the country, and the police always stand down because this is, again, a sacrament of the trendiness, preparing the race war. You know, there's another Bob Marley song that we play a clip of where he talks about they want us divided. They want us fighting with each other. They want us killing one another. And that's why when Malcolm X ceased to be a racist, you know, saying that all whites were inherently bad people, because he traveled to Eastern Europe, he traveled to the Middle East, saw everybody living in peace together. Then he came back and preached against it and got assassinated. Same reason they killed Martin Luther King. The last thing the globalists want is for you to go off what somebody actually stands for and does. And think about it. The so-called liberal media and Al Sharpton and all these other racists, do you think them saying outrageous stuff on television is going to create more unity or less unity? Oh, it's going to unify the rabble under them. It's going to unify the black racist and the thug culture that is taking over the communities of this country, period. The thug life under that as a racial system. Just like the government funds Mecha and La Raza, and the Fortune 500 funds it, which are Hispanic Ku Klux Klan groups. Go read their writings. It's incredible. And just like the government gives attention and has been caught giving support to the white supremacist rabble and then playing us off against each other, that is exactly what's going on. By the way, Jimmy Carter has come out, and this is in Politico. There's a video saying George Zimmerman jury was right. Well, I guess that's because he is a cracker butt. No, it's because he actually knows the law. Whether you love or hate Jimmy Carter, he always tries to be fair. And he's always been a big peacemaker with the only real accords with Israel and Egypt ever that we've seen. And no one can deny he's a real Christian and means well. And he followed it, and he said they made the right decision. I think the jury made the right decision based on the evidence presented, because the prosecution inadvertently, I don't think inadvertently, they wanted this to go to trial and then be a mistrial. We said that day one. Inadvertently set the standards so high. It is your PrisonPlanet.tv memberships that fund so much of what we do here on this operation. And then we're more than happy for the TV show after it's aired live, then be leaked out onto the web to tens of millions of people. That's our goal. Just when you think things can't get any crazier, they do. I actually had two of my writers write about the same thing today, like two ships, I guess, quietly passing each other in the night. So there's two articles on this up at Infowars.com. MSNBC guessed more white kids have to die. And then there's Paul Watson's article. That was Kurt Nemo's headline. MSNBC pundit, more white kids need to die for Americans to understand racism. You know, I just asked Kurt to add crime statistics from the Justice Department on exactly who's killing who, just a fact, because it's been advertised and pushed by the socialist authoritarian media and by the New Black Panther Party and a lot of other groups like that, that don't mug people and rob people in your neighborhood. Go find a predominantly white neighborhood and go after them. And then Michael Moore says if white people buy guns, it's because they're scared of black people. I don't think that's the case on average. But this is really a war on self-defense. And Michael Moore and his social engineers, they want all of us to live like folks do in the most dangerous areas of Chicago, the most dangerous areas of New York and D.C., where they have taken the firearms from the law-abiding citizens. And that's what this whole PSYOP is about. Last night, my wife had gone to the grocery store late, so she pulls up, gets out of the car at about 9 at night, comes in the house, and she said, I was just listening to Greta Van Susteren on Fox via XM, and she said, you've got to hear this. So this morning she went and found the clip. I forgot to give it to the guys, but I will, where she has one of the attorneys for the Martin family on, and the woman says, I am a social engineer, not just a lawyer. And we're here fighting racism, and that's why the Justice Department needs to go after Zimmerman. And it just hit me with what a distraction this whole thing is from all the real tyranny going on in this world. And how that's all the establishment has going for them is to get us to fight with each other. It's so elementary, it's so obvious, but the media puts something out like this, puts a story out, beats the drum for a year and a half, and people almost feel like they're celebrities weighing in on it. People feel like they are part of the establishment weighing in on things. They feel like it's cool to be part of it, and you've got the white folks on the internet, which has the anonymity, or people claiming they're white folks. In some cases, it's probably people in government saying horrible things about, quote, minorities. And then you've got people claiming to be black. Some of them I'm sure are, some of them aren't. I'm sure it's the same thing as with the provocateurs on the other side, stirring up things. And you sit here and you look at it, and the drum just beats and beats and beats and beats and beats and beats. So what I'm going to do is get into the latest on the whole saga where you have racial attacks. I mean, I saw a video where you've got another TV reporter interviewing a black guy, but it's to a white camera guy and a white reporter. And it looks like when they run away, it's a couple black, looks like teenagers, come up and sucker punch in the back of the head the cameraman and the reporter, and then are running off. And you can hear the big black guy they're interviewing turn towards the teenagers and says, what you gonna do, little man? So they run off from him. And there's a bunch of these videos. I mean, imagine, there's a white guy, let me go punch him. He probably, I mean, that's pure racism. And then I saw on InfoWars, people defending it going, hey, go ahead and shoot the reporters. You know, they might be dangerous like George Zimmerman did. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are broadcasting worldwide on this Wednesday, the 17th day of July, 2013 worldwide broadcast. Okay, coming up, I want to get into an article from Yahoo News today. Is carrying it. It's actually the Associated Press. Driving somewhere, there's a government record of that. Now, going back 18 years, when I first got on air, I confirmed that they were installing license plate reading cameras in Indiana and Texas. I saw it in a technology publication that actually an engineer brought me. This is back in 1995, 1996. And I said, those cameras they've put up on I-35, because it listed them, are recording your license plate and everywhere you go. And people would call in and say, we're not 1984. We're not beyond Soviet Russia. You're a liar. And I would tell people by 1998, your digital cable box is listening to you with a microphone. I even busted one open on Access Television and got death threats over it by people claiming they were engineers. You know, if you keep talking about this, you're dead, boy. Stuff like that. Because back then, hey, there's no microphone listening to me in my cable box. I'm in America. And this is big money for the system. They got hopping. And I mean hopping mad. But here it is in the Associated Press today. So see, what's ancient news for my audience is now new news to the public. Because now it's all about throwing it in your face, because now they're going to use the grid openly. Government Bureau creating a Google Earth on every financial transaction, Senator says, CNS News. Yeah, the Pentagon a few years ago actually came out and said, we have a giant computer map with DARPA of every transaction you make, every phone call you make, every place you go, who you talk to, what you do. So, of course, I mean, why are they saying arrest Snowden? Because he came out as you. That's why all the big foreign banks funded him 2-to-1 against the ringer he was running against, Mittens Romney. That whole thing, ladies and gentlemen, was one big fix. People said, well, why weren't you for John McCain then? Why did you not go out against Obama 5 years ago? Because I knew they were all just globalists and they were going to put in who they wanted. He probably did get elected popularly. That's how this country works. That's why we're suckers. It's why we're becoming poor. It's why we're dying young. It's why the cancer rates are up and the IQs are dropping physically. Because we stopped being wily. We stopped not trusting the government. We stopped the common sense, folks. If you went back 100 years ago to the north, south, the east, the west, black, white, Asian, it didn't matter, and you said, let's trust the government, let's give them power, they're going to take care of us, people would laugh at you. Oh, the old-timers, they don't like to keep their money in a bank. Why? They don't trust it. And now you see them stealing people's bank accounts, bank fees, taking money out of people's accounts all over the world, looting the pension funds all over the world, and now it's accelerating here. And once they get their cashless society in place, then they can charge you $5 or whatever they want to use your own digital money. And that's the plan. And then they can track everywhere you go. And they can figure out what you've absolutely got to have. And they can find where you're getting money off the radar. Most people couldn't survive nowadays if they actually paid all the taxes. Most people couldn't survive the day if they weren't doing some underground work. And that's all going to be gotten rid of so they can have the post-industrial world and shut things down and make you live in a 200-square-foot coffin apartment. That's the plan, Jack, to make you poor so that you can be the ignorant food of the New World Order. When you look at what they've done to poor communities across the world, the globalists, how they make them dependent, how they break them down, how they break down the families. That is the group that's already been dominated and taken control of and enslaved, that is then used as the political football fodder to then go out and be the political minions and the political foot soldiers of the collectivist hive Borg that seized control of the system. So I'm going to be getting into a little bit more on the NSA, and we're going to get into the U.S. Army on record being used to spy on anti-GMO activists. Now, why would the Army be involved in spying on health groups, anti-war groups, Tea Party groups? I mean, this has come out that the Army leaked it when they were told to go to Ron Paul rallies in Houston and Dallas, one of which I was speaking at. And in the training sheet and in the briefing, it said, don't let them know you're U.S. Army. They may kill you. Remember that? At an In the Fed rally 4 years ago? It's in my film, Obama Deception. Yes, 4.5 years ago. We show our rally up there. You can just pull up Army at Ron Paul rallies. And imagine the Army sitting there in a meeting with straight face going, don't let them know you're U.S. Army in plain clothes. They may attack you or try to kill you. Really, I think probably half the people of those rallies are probably active duty military. And that's why the military leaked